Miss Elizabeth Walton,
Um,
who sadly died.
Darkbmxers is just going through the list of people who died
Miss
on the Titanic.
Helen Lorraine Allison,
Are we
Don't
going to read off
interrupt
the
him. This
entire
is
list?
a
Read the
memorial,
entire list.
JC.
age 2,
This is his 9/11.
their daughter.
He's doing the
sadly
ending
died.
to the trial of the Chicago 7.
Master Hudson Trevor Allison, their son,
Are
who
we
was
live?
only 11 months,
We're live.
who actually
Welcome to the
survived.
definitive Titanic review with the
Mr.
foremost
Harry
expert in
Anderson.
New Zealand Titanic lore, Darkbmxers. Let me tell you something about
He's
this
joined
guy.
us.
Darkbmxers, I'm so fond of him. What a wonderful
not
streamer.
live.
When I was, we're not.
We are live. We are live.
We are
We
live.
are live. I'll say,
We're
so
literally live
basically,
right now.
let me explain something to you. When I made my first show on Twitch that wasn't just a stream, I had to work with Darkbmxers. And the only way I could lure him was by making a sequel to his favorite film, and that's called Titanic.
Am I
And
lagging?
I made Titanic for
No,
him.
but someone's echoing.
Because of him, for him. And finally, here we are to review Titanic. And guess what? This is our first stream that we can sub to. Did we fill out the paperwork, JC? Can people sub over here or what?
No.
we cannot
we haven't
sub
filled
to
out the paperwork, but
JC,
we'll be soon. We'll be soon. It'll be very
hold on,
soon.
time out.
I'll do it today.
I've filled
I'll do it
out
today.
paperwork for this multiple times. It takes about
I know.
14 minutes.
I
And it's
know,
been a
I
week,
know.
and now no
I'll
one
get
can
to it.
sub.
I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
Does that make sense to
just
you?
talk about
Time
the
goes to
movie.
waste?
Let's just talk about the movie.
No. We got a little housekeeping first.
housekeeping.
You're playing with my money now, JC. All right, all right. Let's put a we'll table this until later. But I expect. Listen, next week we have to be able to give the people the honor of subbing to us. We have a lot of people who want to support us because they believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Titanic
Dun, dun,
is a
dun.
1997 American epic romantic disaster film directed, written, co-produced, and co-edited by James Cameron. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, Billy Zane, Kathy Bates, Francis Fisher, Bernard Hill, Jonathan Hyde, Danny Nucci, David Warner, and Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton, yeah.
Say Bill Paxton twice. He's the best thing about movies in the 90s. Bill Paxton.
Paxton.
I love
What
my
a legend.
Bill
A James
Paxton.
Cameron alum. Yeah, we're talking about Titanic. We have Darkbmxers on today. This was his choice for the week. Darkbmxers,
More
take it
than
away.
that.
Why did you pick Titanic?
Tell me about your Titanic.
I think
journey.
we can all agree that it is one of the greatest films ever made.
Wait till the end of the show,
I
and
don't
then we'll
agree.
talk
Just,
about
I don't agree with
the
that.
no,
rating.
just by numbers alone.
No.
That's not
I
how
don't agree with
art
that.
is measured. Not by
Just by
gross,
numbers alone.
but by that
By-
measure, McDonald's is
It
the
is-
best art fucking installation in the world. You're such
It
a fucking
is
dummy sometimes. What are
the
we talking
fourth
about?
highest grossing film of all time.
It's not.
That's not
It
the
is
measure.
it is the
This-
fourth highest grossing film of all time.
Oh, I thought you said the highest grossing.
I said the
film.
fourth highest.
How much did it
was
cost
the
to be
highest
made, though?
grossing film of all time
Yeah,
when
but
it
you have
came
to look
out.
at ratio. You have to look at how much did it cost to make and how much did it make. That's where you're not. That's where you're
That doesn't
fucking
matter.
up your
That doesn't
score.
matter. It's the fourth
Of course
highest
it
grossing
does.
film of all time. It is one of the
Highest marketing budget of all time.
best stories ever put to film.
We'll get to the
It
story.
Absolutely
cost
not.
$200
I want to
million.
hear your heart. Why did you
And
fall in
that's
love with Titanic?
$1997.
Yeah,
I like
97.
ships.
Okay, talk about that. Talk
Have you
about.
always
you
liked
like
Have you
this
written
shit?
your love letter to the sea?
Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
Do you like Master and
I have
Commander?
watched. Yeah, I like anything
Of course he
ship
does.
related.
Does
I
Bozo?
have watched anything Titanic related since I was like probably 8. Like I've watched
Okay.
every
You watched-
documentary, I've watched every movie, I've watched.
So you watched that awful
Everything.
animated film, The Show Goes On? You seen that one?
No, I'm saying about Titanic specifically.
No, yeah, Titanic.
Let him cook, JC. I
Oh, wait,
want
the show
to
goes
hear
on?
from his
Okay,
heart.
I
right
might
now.
have missed
No,
one. I
Titanic-
might have missed one.
Titanic, the Legend Goes On.
Oh,
it's
the legend
called.
goes. Oh yeah, yeah, of course I've seen
It's
that.
an awful animated film.
Yeah, it's
sequel
not great.
to Titanic.
You know, I've even seen the very crazy Titanic movie
Sequel.
that came out in the 40s, the 1940s. The Nazi Titanic film, which was actually
Don't
crap.
say
Which
Nazi.
was actually
What's the
crap.
one rule you have on your stream? Don't
This is not
say
my stream.
Nazi. And as
This is
soon
not
as
my
the
stream.
fucking thing starts, but you timed me out one time for saying that. And
That's
now you
not-
come on my show, and that's the first thing you say.
It
That's
is
not
what
our-
it is referred to as.
That's
Mm.
not
We're
our-
going
that's
to talk
not-
about
that's
anything
not
I
our-
want to talk
that's not
about
our
then tonight.
rules.
Please continue.
Yeah.
That-
So yeah,
have you
so
seen
even
the-
that one, it's
Hold on.
terrible.
Have you
Do we have
seen
any
the
rules?
No, I'm
No,
just
we don't
fucking
have
with
any
him.
rules.
I don't
Oh,
care.
do
You
we
can say
have-
Nazi. Go ahead.
do have you seen the Asylum-produced sequel, Titanic 2?
Oh, we actually watched that on my stream.
Oh,
I
did you?
made
That fully on my
Titanic. What are
stream.
you talking about? Have you seen it? He was in it.
No,
I'm not talking about
watched,
your film.
We watched the full Titanic 2 movie on my stream.
Is it how bad?
Yeah,
is
we
it?
did.
Oh, it's
It was
shit.
great.
It's the
It was-
shit. It's
it
one of the
was-
shittest
Titanic
movies ever
was
made.
better, ironically.
Titanic
better.
way better.
Crazy.
Yeah, but it was so bad that in some moments it was hilarious, and we just
I love
couldn't
that.
stop laughing.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
That's
Loved it.
that's the best kind of movie, though. I like a movie like that where you can just like
And it didn't
relax.
make any sense either. Like it just didn't make any sense.
A lot of close-up
That's,
shots. A lot of close-up shots of the hull, and like because they really didn't have a ship or a set, and the actors. It's like a lot of camera, like,
And the time when it was zoomed out, you could clearly see it was CGI.
and then nothing happened
Very bad.
at the end.
Oh,
really.
and we're still waiting for Hot Girl number 3 to show up. She disappeared halfway
Listen.
through the movie.
Shout
So
out to Hot Girl number 3, though.
How do they explain how the Titanic rose from the dead? Like, what's their explanation?
Oh,
for-
that's not Titanic 2. That was Titanic.
That's Titanic.
Oh,
Titanic.
okay.
You haven't
So
seen
what happened in
Titanic?
Titanic 2? They just had another boat.
Titanic 2,
JC,
they
if-
just built another Titanic. Yeah,
Even
that's
though the first one
legitimately
didn't
it.
work.
Yeah,
Which,
it's-
which they are doing present day.
Oh,
Well,
good.
No,
They're building
there,
no.
there have been multiple
It's not
different
the same. You can just
projects
call it
trying
something.
to
It's
build
not
the
same.
Titanic for the last like 20 years.
Stolen Glory.
From my
Would you
from
go
my
on it?
mind,
I would.
No.
it depends. It depends. Honestly,
I hope you do.
I would.
Hope you do.
Let's be honest. So there is one in China currently, which is
Mhm.
a almost 1-to-1 full size recreation of the Titanic. But it's built inland, so it's more like a theme park.
It's more
You know, like it's an attraction.
A bunch of poor people
Mm.
died in that thing.
There
They
was
make
an
it a fucking
Australian-
theme park. What are we
There
talking
was an
about?
Australian billionaire who wanted to build it, but couldn't get the funding and the backing from his.
Oh, that's just
friends.
Australia.
Australian billionaire who Richard
Famous
Branson?
Australian billionaire like Robert Zemeckis.
Hey, which one? We have
No.
3 billionaires here. Which billionaire?
I can't remember.
Are
what
we
he-
watching
Robert
here?
Zemeckis.
Time.
Was
Are
it
we watching
Gary?
here?
Was it Gary the billionaire?
No, look. And
Barry
then
the
there was
billionaire, I
also,
like him.
there was also, for example, there's in I think it's Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, the Titanic Museum there
That's
has
racist. You
a
can't say Pigeon
half-
Forge,
a
Tennessee.
half Titanic replica. Like it has half the Titanic, and inside the Titanic replica is the museum itself.
Is there
What,
a
it's got,
virtual
like,
tour
it's
available
like a
for that?
cross section?
No, not a cross section. Like it's legitimately like the front half of the Titanic that they've
Okay,
just
Oh,
built.
is there a
okay.
virtual
they put
tour?
They
museum
got
inside
they
there.
got lazy. They didn't want to do the rest of it. That's
Well,
fine.
Is it online?
It's expensive as fuck.
Is it
Yeah,
online?
you could look up Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, a Titanic museum.
Can I put VR glasses on and be there?
Probably not. But I
Maybe
think
next
actually,
year.
ironically, one of the best Titanic museums in the world in terms of like just sheer artifacts at the moment is actually in Las Vegas. I can't remember what casino it is. One of the big casinos there has its own
Gross.
Titanic museum. And because they have so much money, they bought a bunch
It's a-
of Titanic artifacts, and they
a
just have an
disaster.
amazing Titanic
Did-
museum.
This is a
Is
capitalist
there a
nightmare.
Hindenburg display at the Bellagio now? It's like, what are we doing? People
The
are burning and
largest-
dying and drowning and freezing to death, and
largest-
children are dying, and we're going to
It's not
fucking
about that.
play
The
Yahtzee and then
largest,
go see that with the hot
The
dogs?
largest piece of the Titanic ever pulled from the depths is called the Big Piece. That's a giant
I got
piece
one
of
of
its
those.
hull. It's a giant piece of its hull, and it is currently sitting in Las Vegas. And you can go and like actually sit. It's fucking huge, huge. And
Can you
you know,
touch it?
I mean, no, you're not allowed to. Look,
Have you been-
you got people touching it all the time. It's going to corrode it. You know.
You seem obsessed with this shit. Have you been down there? Have you done a James Cameron?
No,
Have you
God
been
no.
down there?
God no.
Why
Been
not?
down there? Fuck no.
How would I have been down there?
Darkbmx getting one of
Why
those
not?
fucking subs? Oh, that
Oh,
would be
there we
great.
go. See, there's is that Pigeon Forge you're showing?
are we
No,
looking
it
at?
is a AI generated versions of the
Oh,
Titanic.
fuck off.
Perfect. No, I love AI.
No,
Listen,
it's-
thank
yeah,
you
Well,
for
that's
that's the
sharing
movie
images,
set.
though.
That's the fucking
No,
movie set,
no,
isn't it?
it's the interior. It's the interior of that place.
Thanks for
Oh,
sharing the
okay.
images,
That's
though.
beautiful. Thank you.
So I mean, there's so many little small, and that's what I love about more about this movie is there's so many little details that they've done which is so correct, and then even. And
There's
then
a lot of stuff that's not correct, isn't
yeah,
there,
for
though?
a Titanic nerd, for me, I'm like, oh well, that isn't technically correct, and that isn't exactly
lot of
how,
stuff.
how that looks.
I made
Yeah,
a list.
clearly-
For the most part, it's pretty correct. I'll put
We're
it
going to
that
go
way. For
through
the
it.
most part, it's very
There's
correct.
37 items that are not correct. We're going to go through each one, and we're going to discuss whether they're correct.
And I'm gonna debunk all the crazy theories of
that could be you, Dark. That could be you right there.
That's literally
boy.
That's literally the best AI image I've ever seen in my life.
This isn't AI. This is real.
We're gonna go through and we're gonna debunk some of the common misconceptions.
Yeah, these are
the
interior of the Pigeon Forge. Look at that. That's
beautiful,
crazy.
beautiful. It's the place I want to go, but I obviously don't want to go all the way out to Tennessee just for this.
Yeah, I'm looking at these.
Why are you
images,
attacking Tennessee right now?
Should I keep
It's a
scrolling
long
through
way
the
for me to
images?
go.
There's Dolly World in Tennessee. There's Nashville. There's Memphis, Tennessee.
Hold up, stop, right there.
Why is this guy? Who's this guy?
So that I'll tell you, I can tell a whole fucking thing about that. That guy.
That's King
Go
Charles.
back, you asshole. Go back.
That's King
Fuck
Charles.
You. No,
come on, don't start with the F's already.
Shut up. That guy was an Irish priest.
Oh, gee, here we go.
An Irish priest who had recently been gifted for. He recently actually.
You're talking about this guy right here in the middle, right?
No, yeah. So he recently finished his priesthood. So his family gifted him a camera, which for those days was a fucking big deal, of course, because people like cameras. And he was going from Belfast down to Southampton on that leg when it was just starting out, as sort of a gift as well. That his family gave them that as a little gift. And a lot of the Titanic photos you actually see in like the actual real Titanic photos are because of him. Like he is one of the reasons why we have in that famous. There's a famous photo of a kid playing with a twist spin top on the deck of the Titanic.
It's this picture right here.
Yep, that's him. That's a very. In fact, there's a scene in the movie which recreates that specific photo, even though, of course, that wouldn't have happened on that particular leg of the Titanic. But they done it as sort of a nod to people who knew, about that photo. And then also that one of the last photo.
It's just a nod to the Titanic fans.
The last photo of Captain
Titanic heads.
Yeah, Titanic.
I got some trivia here too. I'm going to quiz him on it.
Yeah, the last photo of Captain Edwards ever taken was from him as he leaned over the side to get a photo of the Titanic, like a long way, because it was a huge ship and he wanted to sort of see, show how long it was. So he leaned over the side and took a photo, and you can see Captain Edwards' head poking out of the bridge, looking at the side. He was checking something on the ship, and that was the last photo ever actually taken of him.
Can I tell you something interesting? It's Captain John Edward Smith, or Captain Edward
this
John.
Picture right here,
Sorry,
Dark,
Captain Smith. Yes.
Dark, you think it's this picture right here?
Yes, it's that picture, I think.
Okay.
My brother, I have a younger brother. He's 13 now, but when he was a lot younger, he was convinced that he was the reincarnation of Captain Edward John Smith. Like he
this is getting juicy.
I love
it's
this.
really funny.
This is the best.
He talked to me about it. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember being on the ship, and I have previous memories. I have previous memories of hitting the iceberg, and I have previous memories. I remember the mistake I made. And he was like 7.
And what was the mistake?
Awesome.
Well, obviously they increased their speed when they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, but did you know that?
That's not. I'll debunk that right now.
Here we go.
Right now.
Okay, so you're gonna debunk
there was never.
Okay.
There was never a reason for them to. First of all, they were actually never at full speed. At all during that whole voyage, they were never at full speed. They were a few knots under full speed. When they got the ice warnings,
Is this to scale?
Yes, that part is that's Pigeon Forge. You see the front
How
of it.
many horses did it take to get the anchor to port? Do you even know, Darkbmx? It took 20. 20 horses.
20 horses.
That's how big the anchor was.
Continue, Doug.
So when it comes to that, there's obviously that famous scene in the movie where he's like, "Oh, you want to get into New York a day early? We'll surprise them."
Yeah.
Bruce Ismay never had that conversation at all. This is the one big gripes about every single Titanic movie. There always needs to be a villain because movies need a villain. Bruce Ismay didn't actually have anything to do with the running of the ship because he was the owner.
Rose was the villain.
But even when you're the owner of the ship, you don't control what the captain does. The captain is the sole authority on the ship.
And he missed the iceberg.
And Bruce Ismay
6 warnings.
never had that conversation. He never even he didn't give it. He didn't care that much. He left it in, and someone who's been sailing for multiple decades, who is one of the most experienced captains in the world. Bruce Ismay is not going to go up to him and say, "Hey, I know better than you."
What is the max speed on the Titanic? How many knots?
I'm trying to explain something.
But you're wrong, because it's 23 knots, and it was going 22 and a half knots at the time of the collision.
That's not max speed.
23 knots is max speed. It was 22.5.
It wasn't going max speed.
It was too much. It's
way too fast, bro. Come on.
With that smaller rudder? Yeah, too fast.
You can't handle with a rudder that size. And there were 6 iceberg warnings prior to the collision.
The policy of the time for the iceberg warnings was not, especially at that time of year, it was unnaturally cold, and so the ice had actually shifted down a lot. How do I put this? It was not supposed to be there, sort of thing. They ignored them. Yeah, that's a problem. But it's not like the policy was. It's not like they weren't following policy. The policy itself was wrong.
Yeah.
Who put the pressure on him to speed up to get there to port on time? Was it the shipping company?
No,
or was it his own avarice?
He wasn't going faster than he was expected to go.
He was going as fast as you can almost go. It's like, imagine if you could go 90 miles an hour in your car and you were going 85.
And you're getting
telling me that you're not going at top speed.
And you had 6 iceberg warnings and you still did it.
Yeah, but like I said, the iceberg warnings weren't a reason for them to slow down, because
why not?
So they've already committed their sea trials. The ship, theoretically, based on their sea trials, can turn out of the way before it collides with ice. Of course they didn't, but I'll go over this. There's many reasons why they didn't. But it's not because they couldn't do it.
Did they put the Olympic in those conditions before the sister ship?
The Olympic went through the same sea trials. Every ship, even today, especially big ships like this, go through multiple months of sea trials before actually going on their maiden voyages. In fact, I'm going on a ship soon, which is going on its maiden world voyage on a giant cruise ship, which has gone through, before it was even went on its first public thing. They went over about 4 or 5 months of sea trials. Like, it is a big deal. And this, I don't think the Titanic done as much, but for example, it did spend like a couple months doing sea trials.
Are there conspiracies about what really happened to Titanic?
There's hundreds of conspiracies.
Do you want to talk about some of them?
One of the biggest, I'll put it this way. One of the biggest reasons why it didn't actually manage to steer in time out of the ice was they didn't spot the ice in time. Was largely the problem. If they had spotted the ice as they anticipated, as they theoretically, because this is all theory, it's all based on theory. If they theoretically had spotted it at the correct time that they should have, what they expected for,
where are
the
spy glasses?
I was about to say, I love
Why aren't
that
they
this
looking
movie.
Binoculars?
I love that the explanation this movie gives for them not spotting the ice is because they were too busy looking at a couple kissing.
Oh yeah, that's a fun little thing.
And they lost the binoculars. They're like, we haven't seen the binoculars in Southampton.
There's another thing.
True?
So it also wasn't shipping policy at the time for night watchmen to actually use binoculars to spot ice.
So they fucked up.
No, because let's put it this way: if you have binoculars trying to spot ice in front of the thing, your peripheral vision is so tunneled that you actually can't see as much around you as you'd think. So you're actually not supposed to use binoculars to spot ice. You're supposed to.
It was too late. They're too close.
It was a placid sea, right? So you couldn't see the wake. You couldn't see the wakes. So
but
they had to use alternative methods.
But
I'm looking at time, just going.
Look, this is good.
Listen, if time doesn't want to fucking sleep through this, let me sleep through it. But I'm going to be here to do an investigation.
It is true that the
yeah, it's on Reddit.
It is true that the binoculars weren't available. So this is an interesting fact. So during the
You said interesting?
Did anyone get sued for that?
Shut up! I'm trying to fucking talk. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
During the crew picking, they were recruiting the crew, they're getting all the right people in place. They ended up replacing one of the officers. They ended up replacing the first officer with another officer, and essentially it bumped them all down the list. They got a more experienced first officer in there. The person who actually had the binoculars in his room took the keys to the binoculars off the ship with him when he was leaving the ship, because he wasn't supposed to be on there anymore. He was given another job. And he took the keys with him, And then when the ship left Southampton, they didn't have the keys to the locker that had the binoculars in it.
Wow.
I'm not saying them having binoculars would have helped them see the iceberg. It wouldn't have. They still would have hit it. But it's just one of those little things that it's just a little interesting tidbit.
Strange
that
credulity.
They still would have been distracted by Rose.
Are you sure that's the truth?
In the movie, that is 100% the truth.
They had one set of binoculars on that big, beautiful ship.
No, they had a few pairs, but they were all in the locker. They were all in the binocular locker.
All right. Your witness, JC.
Binocular locker?
Binocular locker.
Yeah, well,
was there a lawsuit for the shipping line because they weren't like watching the sea for icebergs, or did anyone?
No, they got paid out.
You weren't allowed to sue back then, right? In England.
Funnily enough, though, a lot of people did get compensation, but there was still a lot of legal issues. Like, for example, the New York inquiry, the U.S. government essentially set up its own inquiry to deem what happened and who was at fault, and so did the UK. Back home, they also set up their own inquiry, and they, to obviously think was it an error with the building of the ship? Was it an error with the crew? I'll get to that point as well. If you added on 100 more lifeboats, you still wouldn't have saved any more people.
But not one more person you would have saved with more lifeboats?
No, but because the last 2 lifeboats that were released on the ship, the last 2 lifeboats actually didn't have time to get released, and they capsized.
What about
So it doesn't matter how many lifeboats you have. There's only so many davits that you can actually release the lifeboats on.
And there was poor organization because they took too long to start disembarking.
Well, then there's no point. Then there's no point in having a ship this big that holds that many people. I feel like that's part of it.
There's a number of things. So the technology of the time, you have to manually crank out these lifeboats.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we saw the movie.
Takes a lot of time and effort. Also,
they lowering it, right?
They hadn't, as a crew. Obviously, during a lot of their sea trials, they would have done practicing with the lifeboat drills. Mm-hmm. They hadn't refreshed their knowledge and done a lifeboat drill before this disaster happened. They should have done it, and they didn't.
That's another
that was an issue. That was a big issue. One of the biggest issues around the fact that people were, or what would have saved a few hundred more people was putting more people in the lifeboats.
Mm.
And there was a number of issues around that. For example,
like they put 12 in instead of
with captains. When Captain Smith said release the lifeboats, start getting people in, and he said to the first officer Lightoller,
and he second officer the seriousness of the situation.
No, he did. He said to them, put women and children first.
Mm-hmm.
First officer Lightoller took that as who was on. I can't remember which side of the ship he was on. So the first officer was on one side, organizing that. Second officer Murdoch was on the other side. First officer Lightoller took that as, okay, we're only putting women and children in the boats. So he only put women and children in the boats. Even if there was room and there was no women and children around, he wouldn't take any men and put them in the boats. Which is
he started
ridiculous.
Lowering it before he'd confirmed that
because
all the women and children were out.
There wasn't any men around at that time, so he just started lowering it with just women and children.
No, but what I'm saying is he didn't wait and just to double check that there weren't still men and women on the ship, which there clearly were, which is insane.
But they weren't at the lifeboat. And as we've established,
but he just picked an arbitrary time to
but if he had
lower the boat.
If he had waited to lower the boats, less boats would have got lowered anyway. As we've already established that they didn't have enough time to release all the boats.
Yeah, so that's also the hubris of making a ship this big.
Theoretically, he actually was doing the right thing. The only problem was he wasn't putting men on the boat
after
when there weren't any women and children around.
Yeah,
Murdoch which is why if you were on Murdoch's side of the ship, you had a higher chance of surviving as a man, because if there were no women and children around, he took the actual orders literally as, okay, so women and children first, and then men if there's room.
Mm-hmm. What about the women and children locked in the bowels of the ship?
Well, nobody was locked in the bowels intentionally.
What are you talking about? Are you saying they got that wrong in the film when the third class passengers were
they had to wait? Get it wrong.
How do you not hate this movie then, Doug?
They had 3 classes. You got first class, you have second class, you have third class.
All right, I'm listening.
First class is obviously close at the top. Second class is there, and then third class is more in the bowels of the ship.
Sure.
As is policy when you have a class separation like that, especially in Edwardian times where it's very classist.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. By the way.
No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying they didn't intentionally lock people down there to try and kill them. Like, that is a ridiculous thing.
Well, they did, because they put them down there in the first place.
They knew the repercussions of locking a bunch of people in a stinking ship.
If you buy a plane ticket today and you're not first or business class, is
It's
it
not
wrong
a
that
plane.
you
It's not
can't
a
go?
ship.
No,
Jason.
shut up.
Dark.
If is it wrong that when you try and go to business class, they say, no, sorry, go back to your seat. Your economy class.
Not when the fucking thing is going down.
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah.
How is it wrong?
I
you
would
pay for an economy class ticket. You can't walk.
You can't lock me down there, though.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I would restructure society so that we don't have.
No.
Oh,
so we
come on.
don't have business. But moving on.
Nobody's intentionally keeping. So when it comes to that,
What are you
especially
talking
at
about?
nighttime,
There are people standing at the top of the stairs, like, oh, wait behind this
that is a
locked gate.
creation of the movie.
Okay, well,
So
you
how do you
didn't
not hate
assert
this
that,
movie?
please. Well, then, what was the response when he did that? Why did he do that?
Most of the gates that were still locked at that time were locked simply because the crew was all scrambling to get on board and get shit done, and they frankly forgot to unlock some of the gates.
Wow. That's
Is that
awful.
the story? The shipping line told?
Yeah, because the gates are already locked. Because at nighttime, you lock the gates so that people from third class don't make their way into first class and, maybe steal shit or I don't know what they do.
Why would someone in third class steal any more than someone who's in the first class? That's a myth. Like, don't you think wealthy people steal more than poor people?
Well, they probably do, but I'm just saying they're not going to
I know
break
they
into
do.
someone's room and steal shit.
Really?
They'll do it in a white collar way, which is worse.
The good news is no witnesses to recount, say the story's not correct, that they forgot to lock us down there because they all died.
There's plenty of witnesses.
How did they get
heaps
out
of
if they were locked
third-class
up?
passengers survived.
That survived, yeah.
But they didn't see them behind the gate.
The
They were
percentage
behind the
of
gate and
survivors,
survived?
when you account the percentage of survivors in terms of first, second, and third class, the actual largest class that had the most amount of deaths per capita was actually the second class. So
How many passengers total in the ship?
Well, there were obviously less second class passengers. It was the smallest class.
How many people are we talking about? Like 30 people?
No, like a couple hundred people. Yeah, first class was obviously big, and then third class was obviously the largest class, and second class was that. Imagine you got first, but it's kind of weird because even these days when you have like business and first class has less people, whereas on the Titanic, second class had less people than first class.
Well, yeah, sort of like the Titanic was basically designed for first class.
It was made to be more luxury.
And how can Cameron get that wrong? He's making a Titanic film. He's involved in salvaging. He's involved in salvaging the thing. I think he probably talked to every historian in the world about the Titanic, and I'm sure
he was one of the foremost leading experts in Titanic. Like he knows his shit.
Yes, Time. Yes, Time. What do you have to say?
I know next to nothing about the Titanic. How many people were on the ship?
Let's get the Titanic facts up. I have a list right here.
Roughly 2,000...
3,500.
3,547
passengers.
Oh, I thought it was in the tens of thousands. Okay,
no. The number of people aboard was 2,223. The max was 3,500.
I think it was 2,000.
There was 13 honeymooners as well. 13 couples.
Yep.
If that's helpful.
And a big. So there was also a big issue, and there was a good part of the movie where you actually get to see this, where this was real. Where some of the people who, some of the third class passengers who were immigrating from, say, Eastern Europe or somewhere to America, they couldn't speak English and they couldn't read English. And so quite a few of them actually ended up dying more than everyone else because they couldn't read the exit signs to point them to the exit.
Yeah.
And then when they would try and ask people for help, everyone's fucking panicking and they don't speak their language. And so there was a lot of issues with that. But,
there was no regulatory regime. They had no requirement to do anything for safety on that vessel, correct?
No, that there was a lot of requirements for certain things, but
enforced though.
One of the biggest benefits of the Titanic sinking, ironically, is because of the Titanic sinking and because of how bad of a disaster it was, the amount of shipping regulation that has come specifically from this disaster has honestly made it one of the most important shipping events in the history of the world. Because
not saying it should have happened. But...
No, but it would have happened to someone else.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, there are so many facts and figures around Titanic that actually make it theoretically more people should have died on the ship.
Yeah,
like theoretically, they shouldn't have even managed to get out.
31% survived. 31.6% survived.
And if you look at like even other shipping disasters,
but here's another thing: 53.4 should have survived. So there's actually they didn't do as well
that's
as
only
expected.
that's only the maximum possible.
Well, if you organize the lifeboats better and you have a drill,
Like-
and then you discover the inadequacies in your regiment, then perhaps you get to 53.4%, which is a big number.
Look at every other ship.
300 people.
Every other massive shipping disaster in the world. What is the one thing that usually a ship does when it
I mean,
sinks?
the Lusitania is the second biggest, and that was sunk by a U-boat.
Yeah, but what is the one thing usually that a ship does when it sinks?
It capsizes.
It capsizes.
Gets wet.
It doesn't go up like this and sink like that. It capsizes. And when a ship capsizes, like half the ship, if you're on that side of the ship, you're
underwater.
fucked. Yeah, you're completely fucked.
It could have
Which
survived four
which is
sections.
how a lot of people, a lot more people die in this sense. One of the sort of interesting reasons why it managed to stabilize itself was a lot of the unsung heroes of the Titanic disaster were some of the ship's engineers who spent their last moments constantly pumping out the water and keeping the ship stable so they could get the lifeboats off. And a lot of people don't really recognize how much of a difficult task that is, as well as also the electrical engineers who managed to keep the lights on right up until it broke.
Well, clearly James
I dedicate
Cameron
this episode to them.
Didn't recognize him.
I wish he had have actually spent more time showing off the heroics of the actual crew members and other passengers who were helping passengers, rather than like that's the one thing is I love the Titanic disaster so much, but it was focusing so much on arbitrary shit because it was a romance.
You mean the Titanic movie?
Yeah.
You mean the Titanic movie? Yeah.
It was focusing so much on the shit that doesn't make Titanic interesting for me.
So you admit that it's not the best movie of all time?
No, it's not the best movie of all time. It's the best Titanic
we haven't even got to the
time.
movie. We haven't even talked
that's what I
about
was
the
going to say.
movie.
We're half an hour through. I want to talk about the movie.
Let's talk about the movie.
Okay, let's talk about
I want to talk about James Cameron to start.
Let's talk
off
about
with.
James Cameron.
James Cameron is obviously one of the most important film directors of all time, and you can't deny that.
What did he direct?
What did he direct?
He's directed some of the
audience. You don't have to tell me. Tell the audience,
hasn't he?
He did Terminator 2.
The Terminator series.
He directed the Alien sequel, Aliens.
Yep.
He directed True Lies. He directed The Abyss. He directed Piranha 2, The Spawning. He directed Avatar and Avatar 2. The Way of Water.
Yep.
Which is the highest grossing film of all time.
Yep,
That's right.
It's funny because he does actually.
How rich must he be?
Out of the top 5 highest grossing films of all time, he has 3.
He has 3. Isn't that crazy?
That's what's fucking
got a
insane.
knack for it.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a real worksman's director. And you can tell from this film, like, he obviously wants to do. He wants to push the boundaries. He always wants to, push the envelope on what's possible. He is also probably the worst 4K remasterer of all time. I don't know if you guys have seen the 4K remasters of True Lies or Terminator 2, but they are god awful. And the reason why is because James Cameron seems to be obsessed with AI. He's a big fan of AI upscaling, which means when he feeds these movies, these 1080p Blu-ray films into an AI upscaler, which is done by a production company called Park Road. Basically, rather than try and restore information that was there originally, the AI tries to create new information based on what it's being fed. And when you look at the 4K remasters of Terminator 2 and True Lies, and there's close-up shots of their faces, the AI has added wrinkles that were never there. The AI has added like imperfections in their faces that were never there to try and make it look more detailed, but they end up looking like like hideous.
That's weird because I've never seen. I generally don't watch remastered movies because I mean, to be honest, if it's good enough when it came out, it's good enough.
So
So
here's the
then-
problem. Here's the
film-
problem with 4K AI remasters. When like actors and characters aren't in motion, it overdoes the detail. It adds too much. But then when they're moving and they're motion blurred, it doesn't understand that it tries to overdo that, and they end up looking like smooth plastic dolls when they're not moving.
Well, I know what happens. The Fox tells them, "We're going to do this. We're going to put this out with you or without you, and you want a cut of it, and you want to be involved in some part, then you're going to let us do it. Otherwise, we're going to do it anyway." And that's basically what they do, you know.
So but Titanic is lucky because when in 2012 the AI 4K upscaling wasn't really a huge thing. So when they re-released Titanic in 4K in 2012, the 3D 4K re-release, they did it the traditional way. They scanned the film in 4K, they scanned the original negatives, and mastered it in 4K, and then released it. And then he did a recent 4K UHD re-release.
For streaming?
Yeah, for streaming.
That's probably what we watched.
Which looks really good. I will say.
great.
That's the one on Netflix. That looks really good.
That's the one I watched was on Disney Plus, but it's also the same one.
It'll be the same one.
The reason why it looks way better than True Lies and Terminator 2 is because they'd already mastered it in 4K. So the AI didn't have to do as much work to restore the image. There are moments because I watched the 4K version on Disney Plus. There are moments when it closes up, especially on Bill Paxton's face, and you can tell it's overdone the detail in his face. And there's moments when Rose is in motion or Leonardo DiCaprio's in motion.
Actually, there is a couple of there's also I think from the original. With the original thing, there are actually a couple of scenes where the original release of the movie had some issues with their CGIing as well on certain scenes.
Yeah.
And the remaster highlights the problem. It makes it even worse.
There's a moment at the start of the film when Jack does his "I'm the king of the world" and his arm clips through the through the mast. His arm clips through the mast because it's a CGI.
And a little fun fact about one of the scenes along that, for example, there's one of the scenes they had to use a body double with Kate Winslet.
I thought you were going to say
they had her face put onto the body double.
It's not just Kate Winslet. It's both of them. So they're running down.
Is it Jack as well? Yeah, that's right.
So they're running down. Yeah, they're running down the hallway as the water. Yeah, here we go. So this is the Blu-ray release, and then this is the 4K remaster. It see how there's there's added dimples onto his face that were never there before for some reason. There's added shadows that were never there before for some
ray
reason.
tracing or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're using.
Yeah, and the color grade's awful.
Yeah, it does.
As well.
It took all the warmth out of the image. It sucked. It's colder.
Yeah,
and the lighting is different.
But we're lucky with Titanic because they'd already mastered it in 4K.
Yeah.
With True Lies and Aliens and not Titanic and Terminator.
What the fuck is that?
That's awful.
It's True Lies.
I mean, it's terrible.
God.
Look, what is this shadow that they just added to the sleeve for no reason? Anyway,
looks like an oil stain.
Yeah, it's terrible. But what I was going to say is, we're lucky because with those films, they just fed the 1080p Blu-ray into the 4K upscaler and then called it a day. With this one, they'd already mastered it in 4K, so they didn't have to do as much work. But so the scene that you're talking about is when the water's
it's the scene where they're running away from the water and the water's coming around the corner and it's about to swallow them up. Yeah. And as it does that, the body doubles move in such a way that, especially back then, honestly, it's still really good for 1997 if you think about it. But the motion blurring issue with CGI where it couldn't stay on the face properly. So there's actually one particular, a couple frames where you actually see the body doubles faces instead. and like you can clearly see that it's not Kate Winslet.
Or they've pasted a CGI
Yeah.
version of Kate Winslet or Leonardo DiCaprio's face over top. Like you can clearly see that's what they've done. It's so funny.
But one thing that makes this movie still stand the test of time in terms of its watchability is I'm a big thing for practical effects. And practical effects are big on this movie. They built a 3/4 sized to scale replica of the Titanic.
It really tilts.
The entire Titanic that they built was, and they justified it this way essentially, and it did actually work. It actually cost them less money to build an almost 1-to-1 scale replica of the ship and try and CGI
VFX. Try to crunch VFX.
There's no way they could have done it like that. And like he's a stud. He's the first person to solo descent to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. James Cameron has made 3 undersea documentaries that are fantastic.
He's still one
legitimate
of the
explorer, and he's really talented.
Actually, it's crazy because he's still one of the foremost leading experts in deep sea exploration.
Yeah, he's legit.
Which people sometimes forget that that's actually one of his biggest passions is not just movie making. Like he likes exploring shit. You know.
And what's also interesting about James Cameron, because I consider him probably one of the big 5. You know, you got Tarantino, who writes and directs all his movies, but you've also got Scorsese, Ridley Scott, and I'm trying to think of another one.
M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan.
Don't you fucking say M. Night Shyamalan on the
M.
show.
Night
I had to sit through
Shyamalan.
a terrible movie of his called The Watchers the other night. I almost want my money back. Daughter's movie.
Oh yeah, the Roman Polanski.
That was so natural. That was so
Roman
natural.
Polanski, who we discuss every evening on the show.
Wait, which movie was that? Which movie was that?
Polanski reference.
It was perfect.
Which movie did Roman Polanski do?
All of them.
The Penis.
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
All of them. Made a lot of great ones, unfortunately.
Right,
yeah, all of them.
Great person. Yeah.
Lolita.
Stop time.
And
he didn't make Lolita. That was
Steven. Well, how have you? Okay, think about it this way: Steven Spielberg is going to be in that list somewhere. Like, let's be honest.
Steven Spielberg. That's the one I was missing.
Of course.
I was say, like, so, you can't talk about movies without
Wes Anderson.
What's interesting?
I mean,
about
if
James
we're going to start
Cameron,
naming directors, this is going to be a long night.
What's interesting about James Cameron is he comes across as more a Scorsese Spielberg guy who doesn't who you'd expect to not write his movies, but all of his movies are written by him. Aliens is written by him. It's his script. Terminator 2 written by him. It's his script. Titanic, completely his script. It's which I think is fascinating. Because I feel like his script doesn't have a specific style. I don't think it's very.
He has very weird differences in movies. He'll do a sci-fi movie like Avatar, and a romance epic like Titanic.
Yeah,
and
man.
He didn't write Avatar, and then he'll do a. Well, no, but what I'm saying is,
he did write Avatar.
No, he didn't write Avatar.
Yeah, he had a bunch of guys write that fucking.
He wrote Pocahontas. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, he wrote the thing, and then they had a bunch of writers come and like.
I get it. I get the similarities.
Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing?
I get the similarities.
I mean, he does everything.
You could also say the same about like
Corman
every movie. You could say the same about like obviously Titanic's romance elements are just reused from every other romance movie. It's a romance movie.
Did
you make a romance?
Jack and Rose's romance is diffy.
The scene where they're running away from the water. That's obviously a callback from The Shining, right? With the blood.
The Shining.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean it's inspired.
No, because it's a sinking ship, and that's what happens when water comes into the thing. I don't know if it's a shout.
The visual of it.
Visually, it's definitely inspired by The Shining.
Actually, now that I think about it,
wow,
you've got the hallway.
It's inspiration. It's
but
just.
I mean, what else could you do with that? You know, like it's gonna. You couldn't change it.
Is Kubrick
inspired by John Carpenter a lot? I see a lot of John Carpenter and Roger Corman, who he studied under. So Kubrick I don't know if you guys know Roger Corman is even.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, Kubrick.
Yeah, Kubrick is considered one of the best directors of all time.
Yeah, he is the best director of all time.
Sentiment. I'd 100% agree with that sentiment.
Clockwork Orange, Strangelove, both brilliant movies.
He's studying under two people, Roger Corman and John Carpenter. So if you like those directors, you're going to see a lot of the things. The DIY element. Roger Corman was the guy who just made like B movies, quote unquote B movies, on like constant stream of like
I'm trying to think.
again,
John Carpenter. That's right. John Carpenter. All the like Halloween movies.
Halloween, The Thing.
And he did the practical effects for John Carpenter. He was a model builder for John Carpenter, so he can actually do the technical things. So no one can pass bullshit past him because he knows how long it takes and what you're doing with the miniatures and all the
John Carpenter also made a movie called Silence of the Hams.
So the movie is less expensive if you know what the technical things really
that can't
cost.
Be real.
He done a movie called The Silence of the Hams.
That can't be real.
And it's a mockumentary type movie about obviously.
I'm sure it's great. I mean, it's John Carpenter, so
it got a 4.6 on IMDb.
So Dark. Let me just put it out there. I'm so mad that you made me watch this again.
Why?
And so recently. I'm so mad you had to make me watch this again.
It's such a good movie.
Hold on. My mum didn't want to watch it with me. My dad didn't want to watch it with
Nobody
me.
wants to watch
I had to watch this alone. And it's 3 hours long.
That's what I did today.
I've been dreading yesterday for ages. And let me just say, like, this movie is fucking great.
Thank you.
This movie's great.
Here we go.
I'm sorry. The last time I saw it, I wasn't a huge fan. I think the last time I saw it, the second half really impressed me, but the first half I was kind of tuned out. But to be honest, this time watching it, I was in it. I quite enjoyed Titanic.
The romance carries this movie. If you're not interested in the love story, it wouldn't be a good flow.
Yeah, and I like that. Initially, I found this film kind of gross because I don't like the idea of creating fake characters around a historical event.
I can understand that.
Yeah, but watching it this time, I realized that their romance and everything about it is an indictment of the reasons why the Titanic sank, like the hubris.
Yeah, exactly. It's a statement on the times.
Yes,
which is why if you look at it from that aspect, it can be good, as well as a lot of other aspects that you can look at it from multiple different angles. And it's a different movie based on how you perceive or what angle you view it from. It can be very different. If you view it as just a romance movie, it's got that romance movie. If you view it like me, I view it much like historical because that's my interest in the Titanic is very historical. So that's what I watch it for. But of course, you watch it for that commentary on Edwardian,
class society,
class
and
society.
The distinction between them,
and also
and I think it does a great
time period, and it's great.
And I think it does an incredible job of dunking on that high society bullshit.
Cameron even plays a character in the bowels of the ship in the dance scene. He plays one of the passengers.
I didn't know that.
He's got a small cameo.
I did a lot of research today.
A Cameron cameo?
I love Kathy Bates' character. I wish there was a little bit more. I wish there was a little bit more explanation of her backstory, but I love the way that she turns her nose up at all of this bullshit. I love the way
Molly Brown.
That's a famous character.
I love the way that Billy Zane plays.
Billy Zane kills in this movie.
Billy Zane was honestly one of the best parts of this movie, acting wise.
He was.
Yeah,
he really brung that classic, privileged, wealthy villain who didn't actually really. But I will also say as well,
out of her every chance
one of the greatest things about this is he doesn't get any redeeming sympathy. Like you wouldn't watch this movie and be like sympathetic to him as a character because
I was rooting for him the whole time.
That makes you one thing that makes you slightly sympathetic for him is not anything about him specifically, but just his worldview is so tainted by the
world he's in.
That he truly believes that his love for Rose is real based on his own expectations. That's what I'm saying. He loves her.
To him.
He loves her like he loves a factory.
No.
Yeah, like he loves diamonds.
But it's not real love, is what Dark is saying. It's not real love.
He loves her in his own way.
Property.
And the sad thing is, that isn't love, but he doesn't know what love is.
He has a misplaced, he has a misplaced understanding of what love is.
Yeah, but there are people with the same circumstances of wealth that are making good choices too. So I don't think that's a total cop-out.
And there was some of those on the ship. Some of those on the ship.
A lot of people like in the movie picking people up, like when people fell down, let me help you up, stuff like that.
Exactly, and there were times when you had some really privileged people who, for example, Isidore Strauss, who decided to give up a seat on the Titanic. She didn't give it up to, say, a lower class person, for example, but she gave it up for love, because Isidore Strauss's husband, they were the owners of the Macy's department store chain,
right?
Very wealthy. Isidore Strauss is the man. Ida Strauss is his wife that gave up the seat. Isidore tried to get her into the boat, and there is a small part of this in the movie, a small scene, and this is a real thing that actually happened. And she said, no, I don't want to go on there if you're not coming with me. And then so instead of making a fuss and trying to get, himself on the boat to save himself, Ida and Isidore decided, you know what, we've lived together our entire lives, we'll die together. So they went back to their room, and they just died. And there is a scene in the movie where they do that, where he says, and this is a direct quote as well, which he actually, from other witnesses who overheard this, where he said, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, we've lived our entire life together. Like you can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna die with you, sort of thing. As he was trying to tell her to go and survive and jump on the boat.
Yeah.
What do you think about Kate Winslet in this?
Beautiful.
Here's what I think. With Kate Winslet, I feel like at the start, she didn't really find her character. But like as the film progresses, like she fills out that character. I feel like at the start, I don't know if they shot this chronologically. I imagine
they didn't.
Probably didn't.
They didn't.
But her performance got better as the movie went on. I feel like
I think it's also meant to be like that, where when she is in her, how do I put this? Like at the beginning of the movie, she is stiff and rigid because that is her upbringing. That's how she's expected to be. That's how she has to be. And as the movie goes on and she loosens up, so maybe that's why you're thinking it's better acting, where it's actually not better acting. It's
I just didn't like the character at the start. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, her acting was actually really good towards the start of the movie, in the sense of, if you think about it, she's supposed to be stiff and rigid and unemotional. That is
selfish, though. Isn't
British
her character selfish in this, though? Because
what do you
she's
mean?
always like commanding herself by her actions and what she wants, even if it, regardless of how it affects anybody else, including Jack.
No, but that's the point of the movie, Prag. Because in her actual life, before she met Jack, she didn't have any control over her life. She didn't have any control. So the whole point of her being more commanding,
no agency,
is because she's actually getting control, what she's never had.
It's like someone learning to fly for the first time. They're a little wobbly.
Just because she's upper class, she had no control of her life. Just because she had more money than other people doesn't mean she could do anything. And her family got money too,
so she has that pressure because she's really broke.
Pragpro, you're saying learning to fly, but they do it literally. Like, she learns to fly at the front of the boat.
I created that scene with Darkbmxers in Santa Barbara. We went to the Maritime Museum. I held him on the bow of a ship, and I said, "Now you're flying for real."
That's so cool. That's so sweet.
Yeah, and it is good like that. I will say, here's a fun fact. So the first scene that was actually shot was the nude scene.
I'm shocked they put that in this movie.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Because at the time the movie was made, it's kind of like an ode to old Hollywood and disaster films and big productions. 97? And even 97, JC. I'll tell you how I saw this movie. I went to see Tarantino's second film. What is it? Danny Brown? What's it called?
No.
What's Tarantino's second film?
Jackie
Brown. And then the film broke in the last 20 minutes. And so they gave us free tickets. So we came back the next weekend and we saw Titanic. But I was surprised that, because Kate Winslet was such a big star at the time, but they were smart to do it because it was very well done, and it really added an edge to the film that I think it needed. Otherwise, it would have been too corny. Maybe
I think it was
great that they did it.
I don't think it was.
Cameron doesn't do that normally. There's not like boobs in any Cameron films that I can remember. It's not in The Abyss. It's not in Terminator 2.
I think it was. I think it was right. Like, I think it was tasteful. It wasn't. Yeah. And also, for example, in that particular scene where she's naked and getting drawn and everything, they do also make a point in the film of, like, we didn't do anything there because Jack was being professional. And he was just drawing, sort of thing.
He was
that's what it
professional.
was. Like, of course they liked each other in that way, but it wasn't.
They're edging.
They're edging. Yeah,
and that's the point.
But
funnily enough,
I also like the point that she wants to wear the diamond as she's doing it, as a kind of fuck you to the high society.
Exactly. It's a fuck you to Cal, basically. It's a fuck
she leaves it in the thing. I was like, you can put us both in your safe now, Cal, right? She leaves a note with the photo, or I'm sorry, the drawing of her. It's like,
that was an accident. That wasn't supposed. That was just
the drawing actually was an accident of there because they were about to get caught.
I thought he put a note. She put a note in there. Now you can keep us both in your safe.
No, she put a note in there telling him how she was going to run away. He accidentally put his folder in there when the door started opening and they were about to get caught.
Yeah,
he sort of had to run out.
He did that on purpose.
He panicked. Yeah,
he was like rubbing his nose in it. I'm like, this. And
of course, when he finds it there, that scene where he sees that she's been drawn naked and he goes to rip it up. And then he just can't because it's actually really good. It's a good drawing. He's like, damn, it's good art, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. These are pretty good. And he rips it up. Yeah.
He almost rips it up, and then he's like,
I'm always wondering, like, if James Cameron wrote this into the movie and, like, wondered, how do you know Kate Winslet is going to be able to look like... Did they use a body double for this? Or how do they know what Kate Winslet's going to look like disrobed? It's like
I think they just.
I guess everyone has to agree.
Well, she's a beautiful.
I know, but you don't know. Like, there could be a birthmark or something. They must have talked about it. Obviously,
it's still the natural.
Well, that's fine.
You know what she said. You know what the note said is that when she first met Leonardo DiCaprio, she was nervous about it, so she flashed him immediately. So obviously, that was a signal that it's going to be okay.
Look,
is she nervous
but the fact that it was the first scene that they made. The fact that it was the first scene that they made was Jack looking at her naked. Imagine that your first experience as co-workers on set on a movie like this is the nude scene. That would have been very nervous.
But
I think so. The way that I think they've said it in interviews later is it actually helped them connect,
feel more comfortable, later.
It helped them act more close during the whole film because they'd actually got the awkwardness out of the way on the first date.
Time's taking his headphones off. He doesn't want to hear us anymore.
You know what?
He's sick.
I want to talk about Billy Zane and one of my favorite Australian films, 1989's Dead Calm, which was Billy Zane's initial film. Have you seen Dead Calm before, guys?
No? I have not.
Darkbmx, have you seen Dead Calm?
I haven't actually.
Have you seen The
Dead Calm is with Sam Neill and Nicole Kidman and Billy Zane, and it's about a guy who gets yacht robbed. It's a sailboat, really, but there's a bunch of bad guys, and he has to survive on the high sea against pirates. Essentially, it's a banger. You got to see Dead Calm. And it's an Australian film. I'm so disappointed. It was produced by George Miller. I mean, so disappointed.
I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's really good.
Right. Billy Zane is great in this, and I'm wondering what the fuck happened to him after this. Like,
after he's done some other stuff.
He was in Twin Peaks. And then it's like he fell off immediately. He was in Back to the Future and Memphis Belle and The Phantom. They give him that big, and then he just went away.
Let's go. First time chatter. The Titanic was sank because they invite a bunch of powerful people that oppose the creation of the American Federal Reserve.
Oh no, come on!
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Federal Reserve.
And by the way, might I also add that Billy Zane was in some big fucking movies. Okay, he was in big fucking movies after that. No, after that as well.
What the Phantom? There was a bomb.
He was in Zoolander 1, and he was in Zoolander 2.
Yeah, but they're just like little sprinkles of Billy.
He's making a comeback now, though, because
he was in Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh,
yeah, because James Cameron loves Billy, and they're best friends, and they probably
gonna throw him a bone.
But what I was going to say is,
I think it's hilarious.
His upcoming role is Marlon Brando, and if you've seen
that looks crazy. Yeah.
You were talking about this. We can share that.
Marlon Brando, Billy Zane. He looks
exactly. You like Marlon Brando? Let's go.
Let me bring up that screen.
Did you know that The Wizard of Oz is about monetary reserve policy? Let's go.
Like, look at this. I mean, he looks just like him. That's
actually really good. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, boy. This is going to be Billy's big return.
I can't believe that they're going to make an hour and a half long movie of him, the movie of Marlon Brando reading lines off of like the bottom of like a cup or something like that. You know,
No,
This
Marlon
famous-
Brando's
That's how
fascinating.
Brando operated.
toward the tail end. Yeah.
Listen, early Brando was like the biggest megastar in the world. Like
Marlon
Streetcar
Brando
Named
slept
Desire.
with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who didn't?
Yeah.
You know,
what an actor! But then he blew
Joe
up a little bit.
DiMaggio did.
Yep.
So, time goes to waste.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Me and you, we were talking
Don't say
not long
Kennedy.
before this
We
review.
were a couple
and-
days ago.
Yeah, we were talking about Uzumaki,
Mhm.
and you said that you might go into this and not even watch the film and just go off memory. Did you end up actually
Oh,
watching
no.
Titanic with
So
your wife?
here's something that I will always promise and keep my word on this show. If I start a movie, I'm gonna finish it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even the movies I don't like, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna trek through. I'm gonna be a fucking soldier about it, right?
So I didn't start the movie.
What a hero!
So I didn't start the movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch this movie.
You know,
What?
I find this a little bit insulting. You know, like
Taking your bait.
I've watched some shit
Is this
movies
really
that I
happening
didn't
right
want to
now?
watch
Because I'm going to call the police.
because
Did
of
you
this
actually
show.
watch
So-
Titanic?
There's no way he didn't watch this movie. Remember the
let-
first time I asked him if he watched Grizzly Man and he flipped the fuck out on episode
So let me
3?
tell you how
watch this movie.
episode 3. Oh, our episode 3.
Grizzly Man.
Oh, our episode 3.
Yeah.
All
so
right, episode 3.
let me tell you how I first watched this movie, just like Prag told his story, because I think it's interesting. But I'm going to twist it a little bit. This
Twisted and
definitely
screwed.
didn't happen to me. Definitely didn't happen to me. There once was a family who was able to grab a Oscar screener on a VHS of the Titanic,
Good.
and
No way.
All
watching
movies should be free.
the Titanic, on the very bottom of the screen said, "Not for what is it? For consideration only." I think it's what it said.
Yeah, you were considering it.
If it wasn't me, Could
You
be an actor.
serious?
So that's how I watched. Or, sorry,
Why is
that's
Granny
how
so
a
shocked?
young man
Jason,
that
you're
guy
in the United
watched
That's
States,
how that guy
Jason.
watched the Titanic.
Wait,
JC.
what connections
Which-
do your
what-
family have to Hollywood?
This
What
family,
connection?
I don't know.
This shit floats around real easy in
It
Southern
probably- yeah,
California.
it started from
because
somebody
a
and
lot
just
of
went down along a line.
one of
and
the
eventually,
technical directors let it slip, and they're leaking
This-
constantly.
This is like
at that point, there's probably like 200 copies at that point.
this is like how I found out that I held the Sydney Olympic torch when there's a photo of me holding the Sydney Olympic torch. This is like that moment. I can't believe that.
I remember.
That is
what do you mean
crazy.
you
Oh,
found
we're gonna
out?
watch
You didn't know
Titanic.
you were holding something?
I didn't know I was like this big. I was tiny. I didn't remember
okay.
it.
I'm like,
There was.
Interesting.
I just found out that there was a picture of me with the.
Can I get a picture? Can I cut a copy of that?
I can send it to you. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna use it in some art. We can
watching
use it
this
for
movie
promo.
and just being like super just weirded out that there was a giant watermark on the bottom that said for consideration, and I'm like, why does this say this? It's for a specific reason.
Yes, to consider.
What's the reason?
let me say, the fact that you have seen Titanic on or allegedly seen Titanic on an Oscar screener, like I think that gives you a pass. You don't have to watch
No.
this
Yeah.
movie. Like that's
What are you
so
talking
impressive.
about, Jason?
How
Half
does
the
that give
films
him
we
a
see in
genuine-
Southern California are on Oscar
He doesn't
screeners.
remember.
I do. I remember all that
anything
movie.
about the movie.
I've seen it multiple times. I remember that movie.
Oh yeah. Okay, tell me what happens at minute 56.
Oh my god! Get the fuck
What?
out of here.
That's before the ship
Come
sinks. I
on.
can tell you
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thank you.
yeah.
So you're getting close.
But yeah,
I feel like 56 is when he's drawing her, right?
I always fall asleep after the
Or is that
drawing
the
scene
party?
for whatever reason. I've never
Oh,
seen
I have
the
no
rest of the
fucking
movie.
clue. I just put out a number.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He's
I
I
always
don't,
stop
I don't
it
remember
right
it
after
minute
that.
by. I don't remember it minute by minute.
See, but
Watermark.
Go
but
ahead.
that dates me too because it was on a VHS. You know, it
Mhm.
wasn't like it wasn't
I saw
passed
it in
around
the
on a
theaters.
DVD that said whatever. You know.
What does
and
that do to me?
I also do remember. Well, theaters have probably been, theaters are still around.
Did,
I saw it when it
Harvey
came out,
Weinstein
though.
did Harvey Weinstein personally show up to your house?
He
and hand you
did.
that
He
VHS,
did.
yeah?
He handed it to
I
me.
wanna-
He
Did he
gave me a little
produce it?
pat on the butt. He said, "Keep it going, kid." It was
No,
weird.
but he was a big, he's the big
Yeah.
Oscar campaign guy.
Oh, yeah.
I remember it.
But that's crazy.
The commercial
talk
release
about-
of it. It
yeah?
came out in 2 VHSs,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I just,
which is weird because I only had
It was
one.
too big. It was too big.
So when is the last time you saw Titanic? Time I want to know.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last time I'd seen Titanic was maybe a year and a half ago, I think.
I don't want to watch it twice. I had to watch it. You have to watch it. What are we talking about here? Of course, I've seen it a couple times, but I watched it yesterday.
Oscar screening of
Today,
it.
too.
He saw the Oscar screener of it.
Does anyone want to know
That's
how long?
fucking
How many?
impressive.
Does anyone know
LA
how many times I've
County.
watched
This
it
is like
year?
it's floating
How many
around
times
here.
this year? I'm glad you
This
watched
year.
it this year. How many times?
This year I've watched
File
it
a
about 4
complaint.
times.
I'm gonna
Okay.
file a complaint.
And like my perspective changed on it watching it last night compared to 1.5 years
Yeah,
ago.
and the more you watch it, the better it gets.
We're not done
no,
talking
I
about
think this
Apple.
is my limit. I think
We're
this
not
is
done
my
talking
limit.
about Leo. We have to talk about Leo before we get into the rest of it.
Hold on. So
What?
I have some questions about this movie.
You're
go
on
ahead.
suspension. You're on probation. You have to watch the content
Watch
because
this movie.
you know what
Yes,
I'm going to
question.
do?
Yes,
I'm not going to watch
question.
anything
Yes,
ever
question.
again. I'm just going to roll up.
I have a series of 10 questions. They all involve what happened in the movie.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
okay. Because he doesn't
Okay.
actually know what happened in the movie.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Did we like Billy Zane or did we not like Billy Zane?
We hate the
God.
character. We love him as
The
an
actor
actor.
Number two.
was
We
good.
love
Number
everything.
Number two.
He's-
Yeah.
And he slaps her
Who
IRL too.
did Leonardo DiCaprio play?
Oh
The
my!
main
What the
character, Jack
fuck?
Wilson.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh,
no,
God.
no. The question I do have
I'm sorry.
since I
Is
watched
this
it
a long bit?
at-
Did you definitely watch this?
He
No, I
definitely
didn't
watched
watch
it.
No, I didn't watch it.
I don't believe you.
So
I'm fucking
What-
so shocked right now.
what were the star levels of Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio at that point in
1,000.
the movie?
They were like
Were they?
some of the biggest
the
stars
biggest,
in the
yeah.
world.
I
at
mean,
the
that
time.
was the
Winslet?
breakout.
Really?
Yeah, Kate
Yeah.
Winslet was huge.
She
What was
was
she in before this?
Little Children, which was a wonderful film, a period piece. Go ahead and roll some of that. She was in these little indie films that get nominated for things like a year
okay.
before, and then they're like,
Oh,
okay,
she was
now
in.
you're kind of like
She was in
Florence
Sense
Pugh.
and
The
Sensibility.
thing,
Yeah,
same
that's
time
1995
we have
Sense
with
and
Florence
Sensibility.
Pugh.
That's,
That was
Annalise
that
Big
era's
Break.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah,
Or Phil
so she
Collins' daughter, whatever her
she
name is.
was in a few things that were period drama, so
Yeah.
this fit her
Right.
role.
Little Children's a banger. I suggest people watch
Yeah.
that.
Hamlet, I think, as well. Yeah, that's a year before, in 1996.
Yeah, but Sense and Sensibility was her big break, and
Was
that
her
was,
big break.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
that was
yeah, big break.
Annalise' big break as well. Like at least in Hollywood.
Incredible Hulk director
and-
and Ang Lee. Is that what you're talking about?
What is
That's
your
right.
cat doing?
Incredible
Your
Hulk director,
cat's
English.
eating coffee.
Yeah,
She's
eating
eating-
food.
Yeah.
She's eating.
Oh, it's okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio was in What's
in
Eating
so
Gilbert,
much,
Gilbert
jeez.
Grape.
Yeah,
What
that was a
Gilbert
huge
Grape?
break for him.
The Aviator.
Oh, the Aviator was
Island,
brilliant.
right?
It's
Or not
brilliant.
the island with a beach.
Wait,
he was in the
he
beach.
wasn't. Was he the
Beach.
Aviator before this movie?
Yeah,
I
think
get
so.
And
For some reason,
Romeo and Juliet was
After.
what was the year directly before Titanic, and that's what was his sort of. He was in that teenage heartthrob,
Yeah.
which made him
Too,
perfect
right?
for this
That's a good
role
movie.
because that was the Romeo and Juliet movie.
And we talked about his first before
We did, yeah,
after
no.
Critters.
No,
after Critters three, we
I know
talked
who
about
Leonardo
his first
DiCaprio is.
film.
I just didn't know like
Push.
No,
how
the
far he was
Aviator
into
was
his stardom at
2004.
that
That
point.
was after.
Yeah,
2004
he was
was
cooking
Aviator.
pretty good by that time.
Romeo and Juliet was huge
Quick and the
before
Dead.
Titanic.
Quick and the Dead.
What are they like?
Mm.
24 years old in this movie? Winslet and DiCaprio.
Yeah, they're quite
She
young.
was born
A
in
lot younger.
'74, right? Kate Winslet was born in 1974. God
Was
bless her.
DiCaprio older than her in this film? Because he looks younger than her.
He does
I-
look younger.
He's
know.
49. Kate Winslet
He's a little younger.
is.
She's
Kate Winslet is 49 as well. They're
Oh,
actually the
the
same
same
age. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
which
So they were in their
is-
mid 20s or so.
Which is weird for DiCaprio. He loves an age gap. But
Well, that's why they're just
Who
friends.
doesn't,
That's why they're
Jason?
just friends.
right.
That's
I
why
mean,
they're really good
If you're
friends.
Leonardo
Say that as a
DiCaprio, you're not.
genius layperson.
I'm just.
This was-
all right, when you get to me at my age, ask me.
This was such a weird movie to watch as an adult, as opposed to like younger.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
like that.
It's just different because when you watch it as you're younger, you're like, oh, it's people on a ship, and you don't realize the whole. I mean, maybe subtly you realize the whole class society and all that stuff. And then later in
So
life,
he did
you
watch it
realize.
yesterday.
No,
He
I
did
didn't
watch it
I
yesterday.
didn't watch it.
We're
He's-
never
he's-
gonna know.
We're gonna have a big
what
meeting.
he's doing.
You know what's
What
going to be in
he's
the
doing,
meeting?
He's just
There's gonna
saying
be
never
things
gonna
he's
know.
Why
heard
are
you
we
already
not
say
like
before.
monetized yet?
I did
There's
not
two
say that.
things at the meeting. Why are
He
we
did.
not monetized?
He
And
went
then-
over that class struggle because he heard us mentioning class struggle.
He did say class
Yeah,
struggle. He
right.
did say class
That-
struggle. He
You know
did
what
say
I'm
that's
that.
going
He
to
did
do
say
now,
that.
time? I'm never
But
going to watch
also-
anything we watch again ever, and I'm just going to come in here and just like make stuff up because that's the
Well,
best.
you know.
It's a bit different. He saw
I've
the
seen it
Oscar
before.
screener
No.
and he remembers
I've seen
What
it
does that
before.
mean?
I've seen this movie.
What is Oscar screen? What is the Oscar screener?
It's
as
a prestige.
Gravitas?
That's
Like,
gravitas.
No, because it
that's
was
just like the holy grail. I want
Yeah.
one of those. You know what I mean? I want to have watched one of those.
Dark. What do you think? Is that acceptable?
I think it's a little bit insulting. You know,
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Speak
little
on
bit,
it.
you know.
He's right here in front of you. Tell him how
I
you feel.
am mad that you didn't watch it. Like I'm furious. Like
Maybe I did.
Inside,
Maybe I did.
I'm furious. I'm
Maybe I
furious.
did.
But
He
you,
didn't.
you
I'm
did.
gonna ask.
did.
You did.
Listen,
soften
before
the
you
blow
start,
a little
continue.
bit.
I'm
I
going to
did.
ask Flame Princess, and she's going to tell me the truth. So be careful.
We're not speaking to him.
Where's
right
Flame
now, so.
Princess? Is she in the,
Oh,
where's Flame
you're
Princess?
talking to her before
She's
the
in the
show
room
started.
right
That's
now?
why I don't believe you. I
Where's
think
she
you
in
watched
chat?
it. I really do.
She's not in chat.
She's
She
in
is-
chat. There's
she is
5
in
people
chat.
here, and one of them's got to be her. It's got to be.
Yes, I just checked. I just checked.
So
Uh,
Yeah,
what-
what, she's in there. Or she's not.
No, she's not in here.
She is.
So here's the
You
thing.
guys are
is-
really breaking up, aren't you?
yeah,
I mean,
Was it Divorce
think-
Story?
the marriage story.
yeah.
I call it
I
Divorce
think-
Story.
I mean, I think this film is great. But there are things that I don't like. Like, I think there's some moments of the dialogue that I wince a little bit out. Yeah, she's always here. Did he
What
watch Titanic
specifically?
yesterday?
Did
What's
it need to be
specifically?
3 hours?
Specifically?
That's what I want to know.
Flame Princess,
it
please
should
tell
be
me the
more.
truth. Did he
It
please
should be
tell me he
more?
watched Titanic in the last
there-
48 hours?
Is there a director's cut where it's 4 hours?
No,
I
I hope not.
No.
It was
Sadly not.
too
That's not.
long. No, they needed to cut a good 30 minutes off
It's
this
not,
bitch.
no, they needed to add a couple hours.
No.
Like,
I
I
was
remember-
in it, and then I got tired at the end. I'm like, fucking sink the ship already.
I
Here's-
remember
here's the
on
thing.
ABC. I think it was ABC.
And then
like,
they're
years-
writing it
years-
down from the aft. Like they're
years
going
and
to write
years
it like
ago
a...
did the whole James Cameron thing where he's going to the depths to look at the Titanic. I
Mm,
remember that.
yeah.
That's
the
from the
stuff.
very beginning of the movie.
So the stuff I
No,
don't
the
like
ABC
about this
special.
film, the stuff I
Oh.
don't like about this film, I hate the narration. I hate when she is talking about stuff that you can clearly see on screen and you don't need her to
The
tell
old
you.
lady
There's-
part?
Yeah. There's a moment where she's like, but my mother clearly saw him as a nothing but rat.
Yeah. They added too
And I'm
much
like,
in there. I will admit
Yeah,
some of that
and I'm-
dialogue
and
is
I'm-
unnecessary.
And I'm like, you can see it on her face. You don't need to tell me that.
Exactly. If
Um,
the acting was really good of the mother, she was
And it
good at
was.
acting, and she was good at conveying disgust and contempt.
Yeah,
But
and
then they go ahead and they ruin that by saying, "Oh, my mother thought nothing of him but
Yeah.
an insect." But you can see that she's thinking that.
and I feel like James Cameron didn't trust his actors sometimes, that they were
He didn't trust
conveying
his
the
audience.
story.
He sort of didn't trust
Right,
the
he didn't trust
intelligence
the
of his own
audience.
audience.
It's such a
The
broad
audience and the
appeal.
actors. The other thing I don't like, I hate the ending. I hate her dropping the heart of the sea into the water and the way she does it, like the
Frivolous.
Oh,
Donate it to charity. Give
No,
it
it
to
was
Yeah.
Red
she
Cross
done it with
or
both
some
hands.
shit.
She
You know
was,
what I'm saying?
"Ah,
and
And
I
then
don't and the
You didn't
final
have to
shot
die
of
in the
them.
water. There's enough room on the fucking door for both
No,
of
no,
them.
no, no,
wasn't
no,
a
okay.
door.
I am going to.
It's
I
a
am
buoyancy
going,
issue."
Yeah, I am going to yell at you about that, Pragpro, because that myth has been precipitated
Myth-busted.
since this film
Myth-busters.
came out. I think Mythbusters did it, but
They
also
did.
in the film they make
Exactly.
they make a point of it that when he tries to get onto the
The
door,
thing starts sinking.
it starts flipping.
To capsize
and
and
he
sink.
cannot get
Yeah.
on the door.
And
He
I
could
will
have
also
swam to
point this
another
out.
fucking-
Stay in the water.
I will
That's-
also point
I would
out.
say he could have found another door.
No, I will. I put
but
out.
he didn't want to
it's-
leave
Miss
it.
it's
Rose
not-
being selfish again.
it's
I'm
not a
sorry.
door. It's not a
she
door.
surrounds herself
It
with
wasn't her
herself,
choice.
and
It
she
was
only
his
cares
choice.
about what she cares about, and she doesn't
It
give
wasn't
a fuck
her
who
choice.
suffers.
It wasn't
No,
her choice. It was his
It was
choice.
his choice.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't a door.
It wasn't a door. That's
It
right.
wasn't a
It was
door.
just a piece of. The,
It was.
yeah.
It was. You can actually see it in the when in some parts of the movie. It's a part of a door frame.
Mm,
But it's not like the door. It's one of the one of the actual parts of the frame.
yeah. And
There's
I feel
nothing
like
else around to hold on to besides
I
the
feel
door.
like
There was
Or the
1,000 other people in the water struggling to survive.
yeah.
Why don't you
Like
use
there's
one of them as
1,000 other people.
use
Yeah.
a body as a flotation device?
No,
Isn't
no,
that
no.
what you would
I
do,
know,
Dark,
I
if
know
you were
you're
down there?
showing this image, Time. I know you're showing this
Feel-
image. But
Thank
Okay,
you,
so it doesn't-
Time. Thanks for
but
keeping
they-
everyone
no, no, no,
honest.
no, no. No. But they make a point that when he tries to get on the door,
capsizing.
It starts capsizing. They can't both be on it because
you haven't watched the movie. You can't talk.
She laid on it sideways right here and curled up, and he laid on the other side. It would be fine.
No, it would flip. She'd be too heavy.
100%
it would flip.
No.
Can we do an experiment?
Show him doing it. They show him doing it.
Can we get a copy of this? Can we get a scale model of this and try to replicate it in full water? I'm really interested.
Mythbusters has done this. The actual Mythbusters TV show has done this, Pragpro.
And for you to have this,
it's a mythology though, because none of this really happens. So you can make the portage any dimension you want.
And that's dramatic
right,
writing.
I'll allow it.
It's dramatic storytelling.
It's supposed to be melodramatic.
You don't have to allow it because it's clearly shown in the movie.
And I feel like to have this take, you have to
have it. Yeah, you had to have tragedy because it's a tragedy within a tragedy. It's the tragedy of the heart as opposed to the physical tragedy.
Number one, it's the drama of it. It's just good writing. And number two, they make a point of the fact that he can't get on.
Yeah, they explain it very well.
They have a 1 minute scene of him trying to get on the door, and then he doesn't. Like, I feel like you just have to block that scene out of your mind to have that.
And she does go down and get the axe and save him from the hold.
Yeah,
which is something old Rose would have never even thought about doing. So she really grew as a character.
And the third thing I don't like about the film is I hate the song, the Celine Dion song.
Come on, that's like one of the best things about the movie.
I cannot stand the song, and I cannot stand the melody whenever. Like, every time that melody shows up in the score, I'm sorry, James Horner, it ruins the moment. Every single time.
Can we play it right now?
Can we
share that?
No, we can't.
Why not?
It's one of the best films of all time. It's one of the best songs of all time. Come on.
It's a great film, but it's that moment.
It's a beautiful song. I like that song.
I hate that song.
It's a good song.
Despite it was so overplayed too.
And I hate every time the melody shows up in the film, I roll my eyes. I couldn't do it.
But it's a banger.
It's
a banger, right?
It's so just gross.
What are you talking about?
I'm not a fan.
Listen to it.
No, don't. We'll get DMCA. Do not
we
play.
Won't.
My Heart Will Go On. We will.
You can play that amount.
They will not let me.
How come I never get DMCA'd? It's crazy that you're telling me about DMCA and I have 3 channels.
Hit play.
We will not.
Dion is a close personal friend of mine.
Trust me. Hit play.
Is he blocking me?
No.
It's crashing.
I can't hit play. It's your screen.
There was no sound coming out.
Hold on.
I know.
Let him hit play.
We almost broke it. We're not going to get DMCA, JC. I've seen people watching entire movies on this fucking thing. I see people watching whole ass movies all the time.
Yeah, I watch Titanic too.
Listen,
you know
I wanted you guys to have your ambience with your wrestling movie. Like, I wanted you to have all of those scenes on it.
Did we get DMCA for that?
YouTube would not let me upload the video. It was just
it's more of a YouTube problem.
All right, we won't do it. But I can hear the song in my heart, and you can all hear it in your heart at home. Play it at home.
But let me just say,
it's got a good hook, though, JC. You have to admit that song.
And here's what I'll say: I feel like the first half of the film has problems, but I love the themes. I love the relationship between Jack and Rose. I think is well written. But from the moment that the ship hits the iceberg until it cuts to present day,
right,
I think is one of the greatest films of all time. Like, I really think it's a technical and a dramatic marvel. Like, the way that they slowly allow the ship to break apart, like they don't skip out on any of the horror. They don't skip out. The way that they shoot it is just mesmerizing. Like, I have no idea how James Cameron organized it. Like, it's a
what's kind of cool.
Yeah, and he had a big tank built. All the water was in the studio, right? It was a giant set in water, essentially.
And then they also had the actual the 75 or 3/4 scale Titanic model, which they had in Mexico. I can't remember what city it was. It was in Mexico, where they shot those scenes.
Yeah, and there's so many moments. Like, there's 2-second shots. Like, literally 2 seconds of people, falling down the side of the ship. And, did he storyboard every single shot? Like, I can't even imagine the organization it would have taken to make
it would have been huge, because to make it
How long did it take to make this movie?
I have no idea.
A couple years, I think.
Imagine how chuffed he was when he actually finished this movie with the final print and sent it out to distribute.
How long was
He must have been so proud of himself.
Yeah.
because he accomplished this was his dream movie, and nobody else could have made this movie the correct way.
It took 160 days.
Thank you.
Okay, that's actually quite fast. Jeez.
And without CGI, for the most part, making something like this would never be made again because just the danger. And another movie that's like that is The Abyss, which is a wonderful science fiction movie that he made.
And apparently the water was actually freezing. Like Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, they suffered hypothermia on the set.
How could it not be? How could it not be freezing ass cold?
It wasn't nearly as cold as the actual water in reality.
No, it's not the North Atlantic.
But it's not like they had warm water. They had like actual just cold water.
It was enough to cause them to have hypothermia.
Did they use saline water in that tank so that you would have more buoyancy for the actors, or did they just use clean fresh water?
I think they used fresh water. They used salt water. I'm pretty sure
salt water is more buoyant than fresh water.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they used salt water for the accuracy.
It would have changed things, right? Because you're going to float a lot more with salt water.
This is a great fun fact. When the movie went over budget, James Cameron gave back all of his salary, which was $8 million.
That's incredible,
right? And instead, he took a percentage
because he
of
got
the
it on the
profits.
back end. Yeah, exactly.
And took a percentage of the profit.
So he made
it.
Well, yeah,
we love James Cameron.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, how could it not be a mega hit? Because he knew it was good, and the studio loved it.
Yeah, that's
and then
smart.
You have Caprio, they already knew with Winslet and DiCaprio.
I think one of the greatest things about watching this film for me, though, is legitimately just the tiny, tiny nods that it has to small, obscure things that you would never think of if you weren't somebody who was just ridiculously overly into Titanic. Like, if you're not a nerd for Titanic, there is 100 or 1,000 things that you wouldn't pick up.
Titanic.
But I just love like the sequencing of the second half of the film. Like it goes from the top deck, and then you move down, and it's completely quiet, and then it moves down to the bottom deck, and that's the huge bloody whatever they call it.
I want to hear Titanic small things. What are some of the small things? What are some of the small things?
And then it moves back to the top deck, and it's completely quiet again, and then it moves down to the middle, and it's like kind of rumbling. You kind of hear it, and then it moves back down, and it's complete chaos. It kind of reminds me of how kind of reminds me of how Nolan made Dunkirk and how he had 3 different perspectives of the same disaster. Like he starts off in the air, and then he cuts to when they're on the boats close to the disaster, and then later on in the film they cut to inside the ship, and it's like complete chaos. You just get the different perspectives of the boat. It's like the layered way that he sequences this, like the second half of this film is just masterful.
And what lends so well to that way of doing things in Titanic is the fact that the ship did sink just gradually like that, progressively. Yeah. The crazy thing is that it's such a good story for that way of doing things just because of naturally how it actually ended up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Titanic sunk in a little over 2 hours, but the fact that an hour and a half, like it's basically an hour and a half, the second half of the film of the Titanic sinking.
It almost marries up.
It's almost in real time. And I just find that thrilling. I find that like the way that
even though you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and what I've always said, like the best plot twists aren't the ones that are surprising, but are the ones that dramatically like change the story in a way that is like horrifying. Like throughout the film, you know the Titanic's going to sink, but you still, like the way the first half is written,
you care about the characters.
You see a future with these 2 characters.
And Fabrizio.
You see what the future could be, and they paint that picture, and then they take it away from you.
Exactly.
You're not sure when the ship's going to sink, and then it just happens.
But they even do that. They even do that with minor characters, like, of course, Pragpro going about Fabrizio. You got minor characters about that where he wants to. They do such a good way of highlighting a lot of the people that are going on the Titanic were people who were immigrating to the U.S. at that time for a better life.
Yeah.
And they never got to take that step. They never got to live out their American dream of going and starting a family, or they're taking their family with them. Some of these people who would have ended up going out west and starting farms. Some people who would have stayed in New York and, started a small business or just done something like that.
Yeah.
And it's all those small minor characters that you actually really end up feeling really sorry for. You like these, and then you remember as well, in real life, like these are people who were in real life had those dreams and those goals, and they didn't make it. It never happened, and that's what makes it so somber. When you look at the actual,
Is this the best
real
disaster movie
itself, it is.
of all
I would
time?
say it's probably one of the better ones.
I think Dunkirk is my favorite disaster movie.
That's
of
a
all
war
time.
movie.
I would consider it a war
but it's a
movie, though.
disaster.
It's not a disaster. It's not a disaster.
A disaster movie for
But
me
it
is
plays
like
out in a similar way to Titanic.
Armageddon, or one of those movies where they blow up New York City or something. You know, with
the fact that it's real and it's actually a historical event and it's grounded makes it actually more enjoyable as a disaster film, because you can actually feel compassion for the people in that.
Listen, I told you it's a masterpiece.
When I'm watching Independence Day, do I care that the White House is exploding? No, because it's not real, and I don't really have any real
Independence
stakes.
Day, the first one, that speech the president makes before he pilots the F-14s against the aliens.
It's a good movie,
sick, bro. I use that all the time. That's my favorite speech.
It's a good movie, but do you feel anything really in your soul when a couple of children are drowning on the Titanic, as opposed to just watching a CGI explosion of the White House?
No, I say the Irish are getting it again. That's what I say. These are my people. They're getting hosed.
Getting it again.
They're getting it again.
I do think the worst thing that this film spawned is like the romance disaster genre.
Right.
Like I really don't like Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. I think that film is awful.
And that's an example of a shit show.
Yeah, but this film spawned that because of just because of the popularity, and I
Michael
don't think
Bay's
that's
the anti James Cameron.
No. Yeah,
he tries to do what James Cameron does, but he fails at every turn. It's like he's the inverse of James Cameron.
Because he thinks more explosions and more budget equals better movie.
No heart to the story. You have to have a good narrative underlining. That's what James Cameron can do in Terminator and Avatar. He makes you care about the characters, even in science fiction settings. And so he allows the whole audience to come along for the ride, and not just the sci-fi nerd guy. You know?
I mean, a recent disaster movie that I think is better than Titanic is Sunshine. I don't know if you guys seen
the Danny Boyle movie.
The Danny Boyle Sunshine. That movie is fantastic.
Is that a disaster movie?
Yeah, big time. Are you kidding? That is that is literally Titanic in space.
I'm thinking of like Towering Inferno as an example of a disaster movie, or that movie about the ship that goes capsizes upside down. Oh, there he goes. He's wandering away.
Where's he going?
What's that movie?
Look at the Titanic. Can you see it?
What's the name of that movie, Dark? The ship movie where the ship doesn't sink; it capsizes upside down, and they have to like escape. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, geez, I have seen that. I can't remember the name of it.
It's a good one, isn't it? It's like, what is it called?
It's a very tense movie.
I'd almost consider
that's a disaster movie for me.
I'd almost consider like I mean, it's not physically, but like dramatically, I feel like The Big Short is a disaster movie.
It's not a disaster movie.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Peter Pan's a disaster movie too. If you
not in that way. I mean, in a dramatic.
Well, I think what makes a disaster movie a disaster is
this is a natural disaster.
There's a difference between a natural disaster movie and
because an iceberg.
There's also Sorcerer, which is William Friedkin's disaster movie about the. I don't know if you've seen that. That is incredible. It's a remake of not Grapes of Wrath. The other one. What's it called?
Ooh. I know the other.
You know what I'm talking about.
Of Mice and Men.
Wages of Fear.
Adventure. Have you seen the Poseidon Adventure, Darkbmx?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, the Poseidon Adventure is the first ship capsizing super miracle big budget film. It's really good. They remade it too. Check the one from the 70s.
I've seen this movie.
Which one?
The Poseidon Adventure.
Sorcerer.
No, I haven't seen Sorcerer, but it's on
I recognize the poster from the Poseidon Adventure.
So Sorcerer is fantastic. It's about a bunch of they have to transport nitroglycerin across I think it's South America, and they're on these like rickety bridges, and it's just like
wait, are they on a train on that?
No, they're on like super heavy trucks, and if the nitroglycerin even slightly
it
rocks, it explodes. Yeah.
The Day After is another natural disaster movie.
Yeah.
But that's a mass disaster that affects the whole country. This is just like an intimate disaster that affects this group of people.
You can have things that are too big.
Yeah, like the Armageddon, like the asteroid movies.
Even like what is it, 2012? That disaster movie?
2012, terrible.
Yeah, it's too big.
The thing is, the 2012 movie there are certain parts of that movie that I actually really enjoyed when they focus more on the characters.
Yeah.
Because that's what's a good dynamic, when you have the entire world as ending.
Twister.
And then you're focusing on just
Twister, yeah, that's a good one.
the survival of a family.
Twister.
Well, my problem,
and that's
though,
the good part of the movie.
No, but my problem, though, is even though it's the better part of the movie, I feel like Roland Emmerich just can't write characters, and that was the issue.
It could have been done a lot better with the writing. I'll give it that. It's good, but like somebody else writing that movie would have made it a lot better. Someone who actually knew how to write characters and dialogue would have been a lot better.
So I feel like Time hasn't spoken much because he
hasn't watched the movie.
He hasn't watched the movie, but I want to know what his thoughts are of the film he remembers. Like, I feel like I haven't heard his perspective.
I didn't like it.
Okay. Oh, God,
I didn't like it, yeah.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, and I criticized you for that because I didn't like it 1.5 years
I didn't like it when I first saw it. Now I like it a lot more.
Yeah?
Because I saw it.
I still didn't like it. Rewatching it, I still didn't like it.
Okay,
when did you rewatch it?
So he did watch it.
Well, of course he did. He knows better than to come here with no fucking meat for daddy. You got to feed daddy.
We're an hour and a half in.
Why don't you like this? Tell me why you don't like it.
Boring.
That was the longest.
Go in there. Go in on this movie.
Go in hard.
I want to watch Dark. I'm going to watch Dark. Don't interrupt him, Dark.
I don't like the sea. I don't like the Titanic in general. I think it's one of the most overblown movies ever. I don't understand why anyone saw it.
He wanted the Hindenburg. He wants the Hindenburg movie.
Let him cook.
I mean, maybe it's. I don't like movies based on real things. Maybe I don't know. You know, that could be a thing.
Did you like Dunkirk?
I never seen it.
What else don't you like? Do you like Kate Winslet? Do you like the actors? Let's go through the actors.
I like the actors.
Billy Zane.
Did you watch
a fucking G, by the way?
Okay, so you like that part, right?
He likes Billy Zane.
I like Billy Zane's character.
Do you like the way he's slapping Kate Winslet IRL, like
I do
without any like pulling anything?
I do that.
And then Leo got to do similar stuff in Django Unchained, where he.
He slapped somebody in that movie, didn't he?
Yeah, not just slaps.
That was an actual hit.
Not only slaps Kerry Washington, but he rubs it like he accidentally broke
there's
the
actual
glass.
blood. He
rubs on her face. Yeah,
and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, and it's
great. To keep rolling with it. It's what made that whole scene, like that whole bit of him is. Oh god, that was creepy.
He
and
wasn't
well done.
expecting to break that glass.
No,
he wasn't.
He rode with it.
But he went with it, and he made it good because he won an Oscar, and he didn't win.
And clearly he got that from Billy Zane. You know, clearly he was on the sidelines of that scene. He was taking notes.
And the funny thing is, he was doing that thinking, "Oh, this is going to give me a fucking Oscar." And he didn't get an Oscar.
Yeah.
Everything is from Billy Zane.
Yeah, but you didn't like. Okay, you got past the first half time.
Oh, he's leaving. He's tuning out again.
So you got past the. You got.
Do you like Kathy?
You got past.
I feel like people like Kathy Bates.
I like Kathy Bates.
You don't fuck with Kathy Bates?
I don't fuck Kathy Bates at all.
So you got through the first half.
Misery?
Hold on.
Have you seen Misery?
There's something
with
going on.
James Caan?
Hold on.
Okay.
I'll hold on. Have you seen Misery with James Caan and Kathy Bates?
Yeah, I watched it recently.
What a movie! Have you seen that, Dark?
I really enjoyed it.
Dark, have you seen Misery?
Stephen King. I've seen that one. Yep.
That's a good one. I really love James Caan.
Kathy Bates.
I can't wait to pick a James Caan movie. I want to pick something like Thief or something.
There's sirens, there's helicopters everywhere. It's crazy outside right now. I don't know what's going on.
It's because they know such a great show's going on in your room.
They know that you didn't watch Titanic. They're here to arrest you.
You know what I will say though about
did you like the painting scene at least?
I'll point out things that I didn't like in the movie as well at some point.
Winslet's being bad in that. Are you sure you don't like it?
I'm sure the historical inaccuracies are the stuff that kind of piss you off a little
bit.
What
don't you like? Tell me more about why you don't like this movie.
That scene will always scar me. The painting scene. Because
the drawing? You mean the drawing scene?
Because when I was a kid, I'm watching it with my parents, and I'm like,
oh yeah, yeah, one of those. I think I remember.
So like, still watching it as an adult, I'm like,
but it's not even that bad. It's just a little.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
And most of it is covered up by the drawing. I want to ask: were there Monet and
Picasso
paintings lost on the Titanic? Is that real?
Picasso, I believe.
Good question.
He was not. He wouldn't have been making. I think he was making art, but the art that was shown and the way that Billy Zane's character Cal Hockley describes it is, they're just finger painting and stuff. In that period of Picasso, he wasn't doing abstract art. So
Right.
They showed
that
Cubist
wouldn't
art.
have come up. He's not in that period of his life. He was actually quite early on, and a lot of his stuff
They
was
have to
more
show
real
someone
life
the
stuff.
audience.
They just wanted
Yeah,
to chuck
but
that
that-
in as a little,
so the audience can
Picasso.
it's a big deal. This fancy.
But that's an aspect that I don't.
Yeah,
like
I don't
about,
like it when they throw in shit like that.
Yeah, and I don't like it because I feel like it makes Kate Winslet's taste seem a little basic. Like I wish, because her character's meant to be like not high society.
Well, she is basic.
Yeah. No, but I wish that it was like an artist that was a little more eclectic.
She wishes too.
I can give you a couple of an interesting thing. So about
because Picasso and
things
Monet
that were
are
lost
completely
on the
different.
Yeah, go ahead.
If
Give me
you're talking about things that were
list.
lost on the Titanic.
Yeah.
The car. So there was a car in the hold of the Titanic, and it was that particular model of car. It was a Renault, I think, if I remember correctly. No, of course not.
That's how they killed the electric car. They sunk Titanic.
But so that car wasn't assembled. It was boxed, and it was to be assembled when it was in the US.
Was it a prototype?
No. It was somebody bought a car.
Yeah.
And once it was packed into a box, like internally,
Right.
it was dismantled and packed into boxes.
Oh, you
And then
mean
once
they
it
didn't?
gets to America, they would dismantle it and reassemble
Did they
it.
know some people had sex in the car when the car gets there?
No, I'm just
And,
saying
like,
in real life. In real life,
juice
the
everywhere
car
from
didn't
Kate
exist.
Winslet and Leo
Like
in
the
IRL.
the car exists, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
made.
It wasn't together.
Yeah.
I do want to ask. There are conspiracy theories about like a mummy curse on the Titanic. Was there actually?
That's true.
There was a number of artifacts of historical value on. Here's
were
I'll
Egyptian...
start this by saying that I'll put this a little trivia for you guys. So,
Right.
does anyone
Make
know
it comfortable.
why the Titanic's Titanic's title is RMS? You know, you have SS ships, and you have RMS ships, you have HMS for naval ships for His Majesty.
Isn't it Royal something?
Marine?
Royal Marine
It's
Service
a
or
Royal
something.
Mail ship.
Oh, okay.
So because it was carrying official Royal Mail,
Tax
it was
break.
allowed to use the
That's
title
actually not
RMS.
what it. That's actually not what it was.
Oh boy, here we go.
No.
All right,
here we
tell
go,
them time.
Tim.
Lay it
Royal
all
Mail.
What was it then?
Steamer.
Yeah, okay, steamer.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, yes.
But
yes,
it's
I thought you
interchangeable.
tried to
It's
That's a good catch,
It's
though.
interchangeable because
Yeah,
there
but
are
Dark be
RMS
accurate.
ships.
No,
But yeah, we
Yeah,
have to be accurate.
accurate.
There
No,
are
it's no
RMS
problem.
ships that are not steamships, so they would just call them
Dark.
Royal Mail ship. It's very
Dark.
interchangeable. You can
Just
call it a
be-
Royal Mail ship.
No, it's okay. Just take the L and just be
as
accurate
well as
next
as
time.
well as every other ship that had steam on it could also be classified as SS. So some documents will call it SS Titanic because that is what it's officially classed as. It's a steamship, so it's SS Titanic. But when it's carrying Royal Mail, it's RMS Titanic. So the fact that it was carrying mail on that particular voyage made it RMS Titanic. When it left Belfast, it was SS Titanic. When it got to Southampton and picked up Royal Mail, it was now RMS Titanic.
RMS. That makes sense.
So in terms of mail-wise, yeah, there was a lot of interesting stuff on there. I think there actually was a mummy on board.
An Egyptian
I think there actually was an Egyptian mummy.
sarcophagus.
There was, if I remember correctly, I can't remember who it was, but there might have been a couple people, quite wealthy people, who had recently just been in Egypt, and they had bought a bunch of Egyptian artifacts, including I think a mummy, and they were traveling back to the US, and they got on the boat there, and they had stuff, with them.
He's looking on the boat. He's
Is
checking if everyone's
Crowley?
okay. He's checking that everyone's all right.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, he
Talk
loved
about
Egypt
time.
stuff. He loved
No, I'm
Egypt
talking about
stuff.
time. He's checking if everyone's all right on the ship. He's like, "You guys okay? You
There
doing
was.
Did you know that
the
season
craziest
two?
thing? The
Titanic
craziest
people.
thing that was actually on the Titanic that was lost was
Yeah.
one of the rarest books of all time, which is
Which one?
still. It is called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. It was a jewel encrusted
Nice.
edition of a Persian poet's life's work.
That sounds sick.
I
Did you read a poem from that?
I've never read. I've never read.
Just go to
the book. It's in Persian.
Wikipedia. Just read a line or two
would
from it.
you
Give us a
recommend
taste.
this movie?
No, it's not time to recommend the
It's
movie.
time
We
to
still have a
recommend
couple
it.
more hours.
He
to
No,
needs to
go.
go.
no,
I think he needs to go.
Where does he have to go?
I don't want to be here
It's the middle of the
anymore.
night.
What I'm wondering is, what did Titanic beat out for Best Picture? Because I don't think it deserved Best Picture.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know. What did it beat out? That's a good question, Jason.
Oscar Best Film nominations, 1997.
No, 98.
Oh, 98.
No,
Sorry,
98.
98.
Yeah.
It beat out Good Will Hunting.
Which should have won.
As good as it gets.
Absolutely.
LA Confidential and The Full Monty.
Fire.
Great film. Better than Titanic.
Well, it clearly wasn't because it
you know
didn't
what
win,
they did?
but...
They bought it, JC. It's corrupt. Oscars are corrupt. I hate to break it. Those are great films, though. What a fucking banger year.
Yeah. Good Will
Banger
Hunting, LA Confidential. I
think Good Will Hunting was the only film that could compete with it. Like, let's be honest.
LA Confidential? LA Confidential is an amazing period piece.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but I don't think it was big enough. I think it was big enough.
Because it's not the measure of a great film, though. That's not the best
but when
picture.
when it comes to the Oscars, that is the measure. Is not only the actual quality of the film these days, it is also just how big the film is, how much money it's
should
made.
not be. That should not be.
That's sadly how it is. That's sadly how it is.
Know.
If it's the biggest film, then Bohemian Rhapsody should have won Best Picture in.
It's a number of things.
Bohemian Rhapsody was not a best picture for me. They nominate too many films these days.
I don't think so. I think giving more opportunity for films. I mean, the reason why that they increased from 5 to 10 is because there was a huge outcry when The Dark Knight wasn't nominated for Best Picture when it should have been, and they knew that it got. Yeah, it should have won, and they knew that it just got edged out in the nomination process. So
what year was that?
2009.
I can't remember.
I think The King's Speech won that year.
Well, that's a good film.
It is a good film.
That's not a best picture for me either. That's a small.
Yeah.
No,
2009, did you say?
Yeah,
they love historical.
2009 was Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire, which is a great film. Like
Danny
Boyle is my guy.
Frost/Nixon, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Milk, and The Reader.
Yeah, none of those are better than The Dark Knight.
No, Slumdog Millionaire. Benjamin Button was annoying. I didn't like Benjamin Button. Benjamin Button was silly.
And that's why they increased it to 10 because of the outcry after The Dark Knight wasn't nominated.
No, they just want to sell more tickets, which they need to do because they're failing, and that's why.
And they probably knew because the way that it works is that everyone nominates I think everyone nominates Best Picture, or just the producers nominate Best Picture. But then when they vote on the actual
Studios.
Yeah, when they vote on the actual one, everyone in the Academy votes on Best Picture. So they realized that if The Dark Knight had been in the nominee process, it probably would have won the popular vote and probably should have won.
I don't think anyone gives a fuck about the Oscars like they used to. In the 90s, it was a big deal. Now it's not even a big deal.
I think ever since Harvey Weinstein ruined the process, like it's become just
you know what
money.
I care more about? I care more about the Game of the Year awards.
No, you don't. That's just as corrupt.
Yeah,
it's always going to go to the big studio.
I play more games than I watch movies, so
okay. I'm going to do time a solid and ask Pragpro. Would you recommend Titanic?
Hold on.
Why are we babying time tonight? Why do we have to do
he needs to go.
He didn't do me a solid.
That's fine. He'll have to end.
We're over an hour and 40 minutes in.
I do 4-hour shows on the regular.
Our Titanic show tonight in 2009, which we're talking about, The Dark Knight. Kate Winslet won an Oscar for that year.
What did she win for?
Oh, what'd she win for?
The Reader.
Reader. Right. Okay, well, that was nominated for Best Film. So, what did she win? Like Best Actress?
Leading actress, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that the only award she's won? I thought she'd won more than one.
Didn't she win for Titanic?
She did. Yeah.
Did she?
No, she did not. She did not.
No, she didn't win. Titanic didn't win. I think it.
Titanic won Best Picture.
Yeah, but it didn't win Best Actors though. It didn't win like any.
Did Billy Zane get nominated at least for Best Supporting Actor?
No,
that's a fucking crisis on
planet Earth. Won for As Good as It Gets in the year Titanic was.
As Good as It Gets is a great movie. Have you guys seen that with Jack Nicholson?
No.
She was nominated
movie
for.
I'll pick next time.
I mean, she was nominated for Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, which
As Good as It Gets was fire
film, and she was nominated for Steve Jobs, and she's fantastic in that as well.
Steve Jobs was
the majority of Oscars.
I don't know why.
Kidding?
I don't know why. Maybe because I'm from Silicon Valley. and I know all the shit too much. It's like it
Are
wasn't
you
fresh.
sure? Are you sure you didn't watch the Ashton Kutcher
I saw both of them.
Steve Jobs movie?
They were both like, yeah, that was.
So if we're
That
going
was
over
bad.
Oscars, this movie
Turtleneck drama.
won a total of 9 Oscars.
11, didn't it?
11.
Was it 11?
11,
Sorry, but 11
11.
Oscars.
I don't care about
Yeah.
the
And
metrics
the
of the
majority
numbers.
of the Oscars that it won were in my opinion, very deserved.
Technical?
They
Art
were about
direction,
things
stuff
like
like that,
the
yeah.
sound design,
Technicals.
costume design,
Yeah.
sound editing, best original score, best
Which it
production.
deserved. Oh no, not the score. No, I wouldn't give it
But
the
no,
score.
but the score is the whole thing, JC. It's not just the main fucking
Yeah,
song.
but the fact that parts of it, because James Horner used that melody, so that's part
and
of
it was
the
good.
score.
It was
No,
good.
it wasn't.
It was good. Best
JC,
visual
you're-
effects.
Objectively incorrect about the score to Titanic, and I'm gonna have a poll put up. We're gonna put a poll up. If we ever get monetized and we can do polls, then I'm gonna put a poll up and we'll find out the truth.
So at the time, it was tied for the most Oscar wins of all time, but it was later beaten out by Return of the King.
Yep, Return of the
from memory.
King. Hell
Who did it tie
yeah.
with? Gone with the Wind or something?
No,
Who did it actually tie with?
Do you like
I-
Gone with the Wind, Darkbmx? Have you seen Gone
It
with
was
the
a good
Wind?
movie. It's a damn good movie.
You like it too. You love Gone
I
with the
haven't
Wind,
seen
don't you?
it.
You haven't
What-
seen Gone
one
with
of
the Wind?
one of the best movies of all
Maybe
time.
that's
long
the movie I
movie.
pick next.
Okay. It's a long movie.
It is a long movie, but that's what we do here. We're professional movie
It
reviewers.
tied with Ben-Hur from 1959.
Oh,
Ben-Hur
yeah,
was a
Ben. That was a
banger.
good movie. That was a good movie.
Yeah. All right. So, Pragpro, would you recommend Titanic, and what would
No.
you rate it? You
I would
wouldn't.
give it a 9 out of 100. No. Yeah, I recommend Titanic. But this is the thing. It's like, who am I recommending this to? I'm not recommending it to a lot of... I'm like, if you're an older lady and you have a free afternoon...
Older lady.
No, I'm just joking. I like Titanic. I think it was really well... It was a masterfully
Directed,
exhibit
yeah.
of how to do a big drama, disaster movie, historical movie. I mean, all the technical things were pretty perfect as far as the capacity to do those things in the day in 1996.
Not just
And I
perfect,
thought the performances were good.
impressive. Yeah.
I thought the performance was I cared about Kate Winslet and Jack because they're so charming as actors. They really rizzed everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Billy Zane was fun to watch. He was a fun bad guy. I
Mhm.
love all the little detail. I mean, yeah, I like this movie a lot. I'll give it a, I don't know, 85.
Good. Time Goes to Waste.
All right, here
Would
we
you
go.
recommend
Here we go.
Titanic, and what would you rate it?
Dark.
I just love that.
Before I rate this, Dark, were you a fan of Titanic first, like the whole thing before the movie, or were you a fan of the ocean first?
What?
Wait.
Did
What
you
are
like
you asking
Titanic?
me? You
Did you like?
Answer the question.
Did you
You
like-
understand the question?
Did you like the Hold on.
Did you like the historical event first? Or
Yeah,
did you like
the Titanic
movie
first before the
I was
movie.
about to say the ocean. I was like, the
sea.
whole ocean.
The sea. Yeah.
When are you going to write your letter to the
look,
sea?
I-
We got
I-
letters to the sea to
I
write.
have always been very interested in anything maritime.
Mhm.
Since I was like 2, sort of thing. Since I was 2 or 3, I've got a photo of me as a 3-year-old on a ship in the Auckland Maritime Museum, pretending like I'm steering it.
Yeah, but
Like-
did you think you were the reincarnation of the captain of the
Yeah,
Titanic?
Did you?
No.
But I guess you're not a fan.
I
Then.
want to interview the boy.
Not a
Bring the
fan.
boy to me. I want to interview him about being the captain.
Yeah,
of the
About,
I would
about
interview
that
that. I
specifically,
thought it
Hey,
yeah,
Kieran!
I would say I'm more of a
Kieran.
was it
Kieran!
Kieran? Oh god.
Kieran, you here? I think he's at his friend's place.
Oh god.
But yeah,
we got to get that interview. Got to.
I'd love to. But yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to explain it to you.
That's
I
so
want to see
funny.
if he's here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, come back. I want to dig more into this.
I have a question.
More about your love for the
It's
sea. You were
probably
3 years old.
a dumb question for Dark.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What does SS mean?
Steamship.
Oh.
Steam. Oh, steam. Okay, it's not one word.
Yeah. It's just steamship.
But it's
That's
not
all
one
it
word
means.
though.
What does it mean
No.
to
Oh.
the Germans in the 40s, though? It means something different, doesn't it?
Shoots Staffel.
Yeah, stormtroopers. Bad guys.
No, that's no. That's the SS.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I said.
Yeah, they're not.
No,
No,
it's fine. I'm home
stormtroopers are
alone.
different. Stormtroopers are not the SS.
He's not there.
All right, they're the special
No
assholes.
one's home.
No,
of the Nazis. How about
no, they're not as well. Because the actual term stormtrooper comes from the World War I elite units of people storming the trenches in the German army.
Yeah,
The
but
Stormtrooper is a real term. I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a
Stormtrooper
real
is-
term.
but the Nazis
Stormtrooper-
use it as well.
Yeah,
Like,
but,
they
but,
the
continue
Nazis
to-
definitely used it.
He's trying to say that Stormtrooper is synonymous with Nazism.
No, I didn't say it was
It's
synonymous.
analogous.
That's not what I
It's
said.
analogous.
That's what words you're putting in my mouth. I just said it's
No,
kind
no.
of like.
No,
It's
it's
not, come on.
analogous. It's an obvious nod to the fascist regime.
Oh no,
in
we're not talking about the
Germany.
movie. We're not talking about the movie Stormtroopers. He's just talking about
Ah.
the SS. He said, "What does the
Okay.
SS stand for that?" And I was
Not
like,
Stormtroopers.
Schutzstaffel. And he was like, "Oh, like the Stormtroopers," and I was like, "No, they're completely different,
Yeah.
completely different branch."
You should do an off stream video review or interview with Kieran, and we can upload it to the show, and we don't have to do it live.
It's Kieran.
I said Kieran.
He said
You said
Kiernan.
Kiernan.
He said
You said
Kiernan.
Kiernan.
What am I
It's-
saying?
Kiernan.
You're saying Kiernan. It's
And what is it?
Kieran.
Kieran.
Kieran. How do you spell it?
Kieran. Kiran. Kieran.
Kieran.
Okay, Kieran.
Do an
I'd like to see
interview
you do
with
an
the
interview with him. We can
former
upload it as a special
director
edition.
of travel with the Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. The captain.
Captain.
The reincarnation
Yes.
of his soul. Body and soul.
He has to do the
I love
interview as
that.
that too. Embrace
Yeah,
it.
have him dress up.
Embrace
Have
it.
him
Yeah,
dress up.
dress
Have
up.
him get on like a fake beard and everything. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'd love to.
What do you
Can I
mean?
ask
I'm
one
not?
question to Dark? Dark, do you expect to perish at sea?
Yeah,
Do
do
you
you?
expect that's where you go at
No,
the
God,
end?
no.
Oh, okay. In
Because that's how it's going to end, though.
in the event of your untimely passing, which no one wants. Why'd you laugh? Why did you?
I don't know. I can't wait to find out what
The
people.
way you said it, it was like...
love it.
Would
it
you
was like,
want
introduction.
your ashes spread in the sea?
Nope.
No. Oh, you're not okay.
Oh.
Where do you want us to lay you to rest?
Yeah, at Lance's doorstep. Would you like that?
I definitely will be there.
No,
That's
no.
the
I'm
ancient period.
getting mummified.
Ooh.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
Who's
I-
paying for that? I'm not paying for
Well,
that.
obviously, I'm going to pay for it with you know.
Oh well, I'm
what
going to
money
take
I
that
have.
money. That money,
And
you'll be
then
gone. So I'll take that.
I'll be entombed.
Where?
I want to be thrown
Why
into a
is your
volcano.
ego so crazy?
No, I would be entombed.
He
I
thinks
would
he's
be
better
You
than
really
everyone.
need a
above
whole
ground. I
ceremony.
don't want to be underground. I want to be above ground
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
in a tomb in a
He
mausoleum.
wants a tomb with all of his trinkets next to him, so he can
Yeah.
go to heaven
So
with all
strange.
of his trinkets. So, Darkbmxers, would you recommend Titanic, and what
we
would
didn't
you
get
rate
Time
it?
Goes to Waste.
God
number.
damn it.
We didn't
God
get his-
Oh, we didn't get his
number.
number. We didn't get his number.
We didn't get his number. It's not escaping
Oh,
this.
that slid by.
Yeah, you don't get the last word.
No,
for that,
I
Tom.
wouldn't
That goes to
recommend
Dark
this.
because he's
No caveats.
one of our favorite
nothing.
guests.
Yeah, you're with my parents on this one.
Yeah.
Tom.
Go ahead.
And my
And I thought I
my,
was going to be with you.
my number
on
rating
this.
would be 35.
What?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be with you on this time.
Fucking first Treasure Planet and now this?
He gave Amadeus a 50.
Twice.
This is the asshole who gave
Right.
Amadeus a low score.
Oh
right.
boy, here we go. We have a
Yeah.
fight on our
That's
hands
right.
now.
All
Chad,
right,
I'm glad you
Dark-
tuned in. Now
Dark,
stand by your guns. Finish
Right.
the review,
35.
Dark.
That's
Go, or Time. Go ahead.
That's it. No,
Finish,
that's
finish it
Don't
off.
watch it.
That's it.
There-
It's
don't watch it.
It's
Don't
a
see
waste
it.
of time.
Boring. You give it a big B for boring.
I wouldn't say boring. I did
Big
like the
visual.
dancing scene. That was pretty exhilarating.
You didn't like any
Why
of the
don't you
parts
like
of
it? You have to tell me why
No, I
you
did
don't
like
like
the
it
dancing.
in
scene.
more
I did like
detail.
the dancing scene.
No, but did you like the second half where the ship falls apart and dies? No?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we
He
go.
doesn't like it. No, that's
Yeah,
he's just saying it to be nice.
Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you're
It's
a critic.
exciting.
You need to fucking let go and give it the shit. Listen,
I did.
send
35.
it. Give it a full
But it-
send.
but it-
I
Send,
still-
say
I
more
still
about why you
I
don't
can
like
still
it.
like things about it. I didn't give it a 0.
Okay.
Does take you half an hour to get there. Right?
Yeah.
So
And-
that's, yeah.
And My Heart Will Go On is a banger.
Brilliant
Yeah.
song.
It's a
yeah.
banger.
Thank
banger.
you.
Yeah, we're gonna play that
Oh,
later.
yeah,
later.
it's-
The only
play-
thing
I'll
that
play it for
he
Justine.
actually likes about the movie. Come on.
Can we do a karaoke version? Will that get DMCA'd if we do a karaoke version?
No,
'Cause I'd
you
love to
can't.
sing
Saying
that
I
for you,
like this
JP.
film, and that's the worst part of the film.
What if I
I
sing
know
it
what
for
he's
you?
saying.
Though?
He
Would
hates
that
the film,
change?
and that's the best
That's
part
the
of the
best
film.
part. Yeah.
Crazy. You guys are wild.
What would you give it then? Oh, I'll give my
I
score.
have a very romantic
score.
soul, Jason.
As you know, I love this movie with a passion.
Mm.
I personally think it's one of the best films of all time for multiple reasons, not just because of any one reason. I think when you add up the entire film as a whole and bring it all
Yeah.
together, it creates it creates more than what it is. It's the sum of its
Some
parts.
is more than its parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you take all these individual parts of the movie, and they're all really good. You put them together in the way that he edited this and combined it, and it took it beyond what it would have been. I will
Well,
say,
some of
from
them,
obviously my own personal bias of being more interested in the historical side of it, some of the more historical based films in the past, which I, like 19 was it night what a Night to Remember? Do you guys know the film A Night to Remember?
I
No.
don't think so.
That was a
Remind me.
1950s film about the Titanic, and it was very
okay.
it was very grounded in reality. The character, it follows real characters and real events.
Oh, really?
And in 1958, and a very good film.
Okay.
Very good film. Honestly, worth a watch if you like the Titanic. If you don't like the actual history of the Titanic, don't bother watching it. Sort of
What
thing.
about Titanic? If you want more Titanic, should you watch Titanic?
No, terrible.
You're in Titanic.
I know, and I don't recommend that.
I thought it was pretty good for what we were doing and the amount of preparation we had for a week.
I thought it was
Because
fantastic.
Lance just fucking overtook everything.
He's a star.
Yeah, he's
I
not
mean,
a star though. He's not a
Let the
star.
audience decide. Go ahead on over to Mad Teabagger's site. I don't know where it is. It might be on his YouTube, or he has the video because it was on his channel. Watch Titanic. Dark's in it. Time Goes to Waste is in it. Lance from Saints is in it. Who the fuck else is in it?
So unfortunately, right before I wanted to bring Kieran on, he left for work.
Damn.
That would have been
You
such a
have to get
good
the private
segment.
interview. You have to get the private
do a
interview.
mini interview
Yeah.
on your
Okay.
phone or something, and like upload it later or something. It'd be
Okay.
fun.
Oh,
For
no,
the
no, no,
Discord.
no. Okay. So what you're going to do is
And-
you're going to set up your phone as a camera, obviously, but you're going to do like
Yeah.
an interview style where you're sitting in front of him,
Front of them,
and just
yeah.
the back view of your head. So it's like a real
Oh
history.
yeah.
You know?
Like Thin Blue Line.
Yeah.
And do a 2-camera.
If-
Oh,
Switch.
right. Were you
can,
only
yeah.
watching
You
him
can,
on the
yeah.
video
Yeah.
screen? Ooh,
Yeah.
shit, that's fire. I like that.
That would be
you should
great.
direct it. You should direct a
And
little
then
mini
once he
movie.
says something like that's like, crazy or like I got you, just look back at the camera and go like that.
Yeah, I think I should.
Yeah.
So I would recommend Titanic. I didn't think I would. Because the reason why
What
I'd
number
recommend
did he give it? Did Dark give it a number?
Oh
I
no, I didn't give it a number. So although I do like this film, I'll just give it a number real quick. Although of course this is one of my favorite films of all time. Objectively, I'll be unbiased here. I would give this film maybe like an 80, 85, 86,
That's
87,
what I give it.
high 80s.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I would give a film anywhere close to the 90s, it's something like fucking
Yeah.
Schindler's List. It's like one of the greatest
Schindler's
films of all time.
List.
That is
that's
one of the
so
best films of all time.
depressing.
Yeah, but it's one of the
What
best
about
films
Life
of all
is
time.
Beautiful? I prefer Roberto Benigni's version.
Yeah, but it's also
the
also
Holocaust.
like a lot of film carries
Yeah.
because it's not just, of course, the story of the film. When you're looking at a score for a film, you've got to add in how the score works, how the lighting is, how the shots are done, how the actual film is all done and made and produced. That's what makes the film.
Yeah,
either
my score
better
is
or
always
worse.
just the end product.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All of those small things add 1 or 2 points here and
Have you
there.
seen
And then
Amadeus?
you get, the whole. Yeah, I
Have you
told you
seen
Amadeus is one of my
What
favorite
do you
movies
give?
of all time.
What do you give Amadeus on 1 to
I'd
100?
give Amadeus probably about a 83 or an 84.
Really?
give it a 50?
I'd push that to a 90 if I remember correctly.
I bet the thing is for that as well, historical inaccuracy. Bugs
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a movie.
It doesn't bother me. I don't know anything
All
about
right,
my
JC, I'm
so-
sorry I interrupted your review.
Yeah, I'd recommend this. I didn't think I would, and that's I think the reason why I would recommend it, because I feel like on rewatch you might appreciate it a lot more. I guess Time is a testament to the opposite reaction, where you watch it recently and don't like it as much.
Watched
But
it
yeah,
today.
I was
I
shocked
watched
how
it
much
today.
I
I
enjoyed
didn't
it
like it.
yesterday.
You watched it today. See, that's fine.
And I got a lot more out of it than I did last time. I also think what was I going to say? I think it's absolutely worth a watch. I think it's probably one of the most like when we talk about direction and we talk about like film directors. We hope that they nail it, on the technical side. But I feel like James Cameron, like with this film, like went above and beyond, like especially in the second half. Like he just, I don't even fathom like how I couldn't do it. I couldn't make Titanic. And
It's
I
a real
hope I
passion
could.
project of his.
Yeah,
Because he
you
was
think you can make?
he
Yeah,
was
you did.
passionate about
I
Titanic.
think I can do anything.
He was passionate about Titanic before he made the movie, and that's what made the difference. Was he was already passionate about the movie or the story of the movie.
He didn't he do the deep sea dive for Titanic?
He'd been down the Titanic a few times before he made the movie.
And it's the same kind. It's the same kind of dedication that Peter Jackson puts into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and just how impressive that was. And it's the kind of stuff that inspires me as a film, hopefully a future filmmaker. But there is still stuff in the film that I just can't get past. I hate the ending. I don't like the Celine Dion song, which constantly just comes up over and over.
You can still be passionate and be terrible at your job, though.
Yeah, absolutely. True. Yeah, I agree. But I feel like
people like that.
I feel like James Cameron just
irrational exuberance is what we call it.
Like it's just so impressive to me, like what he achieved with this. But there's just some parts of the script and dialogue in the first half that I can't get past. So I can't push it past 80. I'd probably give it a 70. I think.
Fair enough.
I think 70 is where
I'd put it. Crowd, Dark.
That's sorry a lot lower than I would expect, but I mean, understandable. People have different.
He's a different scale.
It's just not a fucking 35.
You have to add 20 to his number because he has a different scale. You add 20.
Remember, our pass in Australia is 50. And then our C is 50 and up. Our B is
I add 20.
65 and up. Our A is 75.
And I add 45 points to Time Goes to Waste number every time.
Is that how your grading system works, Darkbmxers?
We don't go by that. We use the NCEA system.
What's that?
We have excellence, merit. Achieved and not achieved.
Oh, okay, yeah. In our school, we had A's, B's, C's, D's, and it was based on...
So we run on a not achieved, which is an NA, then you get an A for achieved, then you get a merit, and then you get an excellence.
Okay. Good. Thank you, everyone, for... What are we doing next week?
Yeah, let's talk about next week, or the next episode. Are we reviewing Blue-Eyed Samurai this week, Time Goes to Waste?
We could, yeah.
I would love.
I haven't watched it yet.
Did you get a chance to watch it yet? How about this? When you watch it, because they're long and there's like 8 episodes. It's 8 hours. So
I'm looking at a stream schedule.
I'll start watching 2 episodes tomorrow.
We actually have Dead Man Pain next week.
Perfect.
Do we?
I think we need to double check that we've got him locked. But,
I go into his chat and I say hello to him all the time. He knows. I'm going to remind him tonight, and I'll give him a link, and I'll make sure it's pop in his chat.
And we got to
review the Warriors.
The Warriors.
Yes.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
He's an aficionado in the Warriors.
So excited.
Oh,
he is an expert in the Warriors. He has a wonderful Michael Madsen impersonation from Quentin Tarantino fame. I think you're going to be delighted by Dead Man Pain.
Yeah, I'm looking. Is he going to be on?
You have to get him his fucking camera
on stream. But yeah,
I don't know if he owns a camera.
Thank you guys for
these kids.
Joining us. So,
then what's next after that?
So the next thing that will be uploaded will be Marriage Story, and then Uzumaki. So
you guys did the Uzumaki review already on Friday?
We did, yeah. We did do Uzumaki.
I forgot all about it. I'm
sorry.
Watch the VOD.
TLDR, just watch the first episode. Avoid the rest.
Oh, really? It was no good, huh? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. JC, watch Blue-Eyed Samurai if you have a chance this week. It's excellent. You too, Dark.
I don't think I'm going to have the time, but I can try.
Okay.
I can try.
Give it the first episode a swing, and if you get into it.
Yeah. After Dead Man Pain, it's Prag's pick, so you're going to have to think about what film you're going to do, Prag.
Something old. Something like new, with James Caan, like
something
Thief,
borrowed,
and something
like. Because I like to try to put something a little different. I don't know. I'll think about it. I don't know.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dark. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad that I enjoyed Titanic this time, and
Thank you. And I'm glad everyone didn't just shit on it, instead of time.
Yeah,
this was the definitive Titanic review.
Were you surprised,
ladies and gentlemen?
Were you surprised?
Me?
By our reactions.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to shit all over it.
What about me?
What did you think I was? See, I knew you were a good, unbiased person, and I knew you were going to be fine. I didn't have any problem with you because I knew you knew it was a good film.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but every time that we bring it up to Pragpro, we're like, "Oh,
I just want to see
That's different. That's different. That's ribbon."
He's like, "Oh God."
I will say as well, though.
I did feel like that. It was a bit of a chore to get it going, but once I watched it, I started enjoying it.
It's very hard for me because it's like, as you could tell by the beginning of this episode, I could probably go on for about 8 or 9 hours straight about various Titanic things.
Yeah.
And nobody would enjoy that, except for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad we got to the movie.
I would enjoy it. We can have an addendum. We can do another episode on your show if you want to get deep.
A Titanic episode, a whole Titanic series.
We can get in there with the video, and we can do the underwater, like go to every room and just get really into
grandmas
it.
Talk about historical facts.
Listen, I'm available after Tuesday. I'm available a lot more. So if you have any show ideas you guys want to do, I'm available after Tuesday.
At the moment, I'm reading a full history of Cuba. So if anyone wants to talk to me about Cuba once I'm done,
you have to read it.
I'm so excited. Well, you don't have to. I just want to explain it to you the same way.
Pick a documentary and we'll watch it, and then we can talk about Cuba.
We did pick a documentary. You know how
about
that went.
Cuba? I'm just talking about me and you.
No. Extend.
JC, you know how me and Time do spin-offs? We can do a spin-off just me and you, JC, if you want to do something specific that the other group might not like.
We'll see how I feel because I need to finish this book. But I'm reading A History of Cuba. I'm really enjoying it.
We can watch the movie Che, right? Isn't there the big Che Guevara movie?
Yeah, I'm probably going to pick it.
Who did that? Oliver Stone?
No, that was Steven Soderbergh.
Soderbergh's a banger. I love Steven Soderbergh. It's 4 hours though. All right, we can do that though.
And there's also the Motorcycle Diaries, which is based on his memoir. Starring...
That was not as good as the Che. I think it's not as much.
I haven't seen either, but I want to read the Motorcycle Diaries first before I watch it. But it's a great director, Walter Salles.
If you think of something that you know that Time doesn't want to talk about or fuck with, and I might, then book it because I'm gonna. Like I said, I have more time coming up. And I can do
I'm
more
playing
things.
The Last of Us Part 1, so I'd love to talk about The Last of Us game.
I want to play that too. We should, we should do that. We should do a video game. Yeah, anything you guys can think of. You too, Dark.
Video games.
Well, Dark's not part of this.
You want to review video games? We should have a video game show sometime and
you should do a spin-off series. 3 Grandmas Yap about video games.
Well, not yet.
You're in it too, Dark. You can be on the show. We can be the 4th grandma if you want to be the video game guy.
No, I'm not going to intrude. I'm not going to intrude. You know?
I'm not
intruding. It's a special episode.
You're definitely intruding.
I'm not sure if you're aware, Dark, but we've got 3 shows at the moment. So we've got 3 grandmas yapping about movies. That's what you're on at the moment. We've got 3 grandmas watch the picture box, which is about us talking about TV shows.
Okay.
And we got 3 grandmas brave the cinema, which is where we talk about new movies coming out.
They're actually 3 separate shows.
And I'm on all of them.
Okay.
I'm on all of them.
Yeah, Time's on all of them.
Yeah, he's on all
and I will
of them.
continue to be on
all of them.
And then we have the video game show that we can run too.
Yeah, so we got to think of the title for that one.
We could do a music show. We could do an album. Oh, actually, I have the fucking Your Dad Might Like. That's not
you can new release on your already established property.
No, but that's not new releases. Or we could do a crossover. We could do a mashup.
Has anyone heard the new Tyler the Creator album?
I have. It's so good.
Banger.
I bought tickets.
Is
I bought tickets for next year.
Did you?
I bought tickets
review
for
that?
next year. Yes, I'm going to see it next year. I'm so excited.
Hold on. Why don't we book a date to talk about that record, and we could do an
that
episode
fucking
music,
and then we'll have Toaster come on.
Eagle is probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
He doesn't like hip hop.
That's a great album.
Pharmacopoeia.
Yeah, let's book it.
Good.
If you guys want to review anything and you haven't, and you want to do it, and you need a group of people to do with it, bring it up, book a time, a date, and then we'll just do it.
Let's review my
because I have to
do that.
So what we're going to do about
you got to keep moving your little legs.
Here.
Here.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
The new movie.
Zemeckis here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gimmick of the movie is that the camera doesn't move. It's a stationary camera in a room.
Terrible.
And it doesn't move. So all of the action.
No, he doesn't want to watch
within
that.
The frame.
I'm just gonna because it's just
he's interested.
It's so bonkers of a fucking.
Well, it depends on the
idea
concept.
I don't know if it's playing around here.
It has to.
All right,
Well,
I'll find out.
Yeah.
You know what? I like that you guys have your own. I like that you guys do that other show without me. It's nice that we have a little balance. Like people need a little break from me.
I want to talk about new movies.
I know, but it's good because I'm on a lot of shows also, JC. Like all weekend, I'm on for 17 hours.
No, it makes sense. I'm glad you guys did your wrestling show as well.
Yeah, and we can do more stuff like that. We're gonna do. Listen, when the Blue Eye Samurai review comes out, you're gonna be very excited because I love that show. I thought it was so good.
I could bring Anders on to talk about here as well again.
Bring him on.
I'm sure.
Listen, more the merrier. If anybody wants to come on, we can get more guests and stuff. I have more time.
I might ask Joey. I'll see if he wants to.
Oh yeah, Joey's always down to do things.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. This has been a great episode talking about Titanic. I'm glad Darkbmxers came on, and I'm glad I enjoyed the film as much as I did this time. See you later, everyone.
We have to wave time
before we end.
Guys.
I'm trying to buy time. Our upcoming guests are Dead Man Payne, and then we have SV, Lance in December.
Yep,
and then Diamond Dez.
And Diamond Dez, yeah. And that rounds out.
None of those movies will be as good as Titanic.
None
of them will be as good as Titanic.
I already know The Warriors is better than Titanic.
Has to be.
Easily.
You say that, but I don't see The Warriors in the top 5 highest grossing films of all time.
Listen, I don't see John.
I have another note.
I
have
see
another
John
announcement.
Tributing Titanic.
We're going to make a Christmas pageant special with multiple streamers, with Lance, with Mad Teabagger, and hopefully with you guys too. We're going to plan for the next 2 months. We're going to do a big
Christmas
multimedia puppet show. No, it's a Christmas show.
Christmas show.
A special stream with all the superstars from our friend group, and we're going to do it up big style with puppets and digital backgrounds. And Lance and I are going to start cooking on it tomorrow.
I'm still going to find out the work schedule, but I'd be down, yeah.
Well, as you know,
we're going to have an initial meeting. We're just going to set things up, the plan, and then we'll start adding people, and just let me know if you want to be involved. Everyone loves
Christmas, so...
He's a holiday head, and we have to do it.
I love Christmas.
Can I just say, do a cookie Christmas? Your hair's
looking sick today.
Christmas cookie review.
Pragpro, your hair is looking so good today. You're looking like Elvis.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's amazing.
It is a good idea.
There you go. He's got the what is that called?
It's like a little pompadour.
It's a shame I don't do
Shout out to you. Met my barber. Darkbmx met Fernando.
Actually, he was a nice guy.
At the Palm.
That's
cool. Sweetie, and he was a wonderful.
Fernando. Wow.
Race, that's his name. It's not race. It's his real name.
And then we went to a beautiful taco joint after we met him. That's where we ate
Mais Picante.
No, not Mais Picante. The other
crazy.
Which other?
The other one, the chicken joint.
Oh yeah, yes, Santa Barbara chicken.
Yeah, that's ooh, that was good.
Open spit chicken, and then the meat bee came and scared us away.
I had my first taste.
And I had to tell Dr. Yasmin I couldn't drive him to LA airport. It was a tough afternoon. It was an emotional afternoon. It was because I had to drive down there the next day, and I was like, I'm not doing it twice back to back. It's like
See, this is kind of crazy because I feel like I've always felt like I was a reincarnation of Edward John Smith's brother. Marcus Smith, and I've got the muscle memory down right now. He was a captain as well. He was a captain of a less famous ship called the Titanic.
That's not a British salute, though. That's not a British salute. If you were saluting in a British battle, you would have to go like that. Yes, thank you.
No, he was American. That was separated.
He was American? Okay, go back to original. There we go.
That was separated at birth. But they're
and if you want to be a weirdo, you can salute like that, like the One Piece.
No
Marines.
one does that.
That's the One Piece Marine salute.
Oh, okay.
One Piece.
That show that I watched. Yeah. That was a good show. I didn't watch the anime.
One Piece.
Anyway,
did they do that in the live action show?
Yeah, they did. Right? They done that.
Oh, did they?
That's because that's the way you salute as a Marine. Catch you guys. Thank you.
Don't forget to vote, America.
I think Kamala's going to win, by the way.
Are we still recording?
He's
going to win Iowa.
We're still recording.
All right,
I've been looking at some really good numbers lately, my guy.
Yeah, we're still live.
Iowa Puerto Rican numbers is crazy.
Those are
still live.
We can be live.
So it was only a sample size of 150, but the based on the population
we have actual
size,
votes. Why do I have to look at polls? I have actual voters.
No, they're talking. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. But what I was trying to say,
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
That's fine. I can talk about whatever I want on my show.